Monday, live from the Fastport Studios in good old NOLA, a.k.a. a second home. This is Nemo Nation with the legendary trucking voice, Dave Nemo, and that great Jimmy Magrin. Let's roll!
Hey, let's roll by starting up by hitting that like button. If you're in the chat, and many people are. By the way, Dennis wrote to say, tip of the day, when that cute waitress comes over to get your order, ask if she's married or if that's her boyfriend's name tattooed on her arm. By the way, the Paranormal Pieman wrote, picking up a load of redacted at redacted. And our good friend Jody says, good morning to all. Fred Flintstone, by the way, is riding with us. He won't be chatting with us this morning, of course, because like many of you should do, he's staying safe. I want to remind everybody out there in Nemo Nation, we love when you participate. We love when you call 615-292-6366. What's that number, Dre?
225. No, that's my number. I don't have my card.
Stay in the game. Stay on target, Red Leader. Stay on target, Red Leader. 615-292. That spells Hey Ho Nemo. And of course, our folks from RadioNemo are also on the scene in the chat, as you should be too. Good morning to everybody on the Book of Face as well, and everybody listening over at RadioNemo.com. We love you guys as well. If you're joining us on Odyssey, well, hey man, welcome. Let's get something going over there too. But let's really get something going on here. It is my pleasure to introduce the Ayatollah of a rockin' rolla. See what I'm doing there? There's a lot of stuff.
Boy, you pulled that one out of the hat.
Yeah, you like that one?
Out of the fire.
You like that one? By the way, we were actually, and we're not going to get into this morning, Dave Nemo's voice, who you heard over there. I kept thinking about went to a mosque, thought I'd throw some rocks, told the Ayatollah, gonna put you in a box, Obama ran bomb. Remember that?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Oh, my God, 1979, 1980, during the entire Iranian hostage crisis. That song became a really big hit. Who did the most famous version of it?
I don't know.
Vince Vance and the Valiants,
yes.
man. That's what I'm
Right
talking
here.
about. Good morning to you. By the way, Mitch H. says good morning. The Doodah Man says good morning. People are rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling their way into the chat. So here's my request before we get Nemo Nation going, before I introduce the man with the plan, that outstanding hero of trucking radio. Hit that like button. If you're on the Book of Face, hit that like button. If you're on the Tube of You, hit that like button. It makes a big difference. It drives the algorithm. It drives participation. It gets everything else kind of rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Touchdown, Dave Nemo. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, sir. Yes, it's still a two-way street out there, you know. Hitting those buttons really makes a lot of difference for us.
Yeah, it really does. And as we're kind of making discoveries here along the way, we had a big leap in listenership last Friday. We had a big opening. We leveled off, but we steadied. We didn't lose. We just kind of steadied, and then slowly, incrementally, we built and built and built. And then on Friday, we kind of busted through. So big things are brewing down here in Nemo country. Phone Master Dre is on the case. Madison is on the scene. By the way, really cool, Madison has declared all Mondays Movie Monday, where we all going to wear a shirt. In honor of that, Dre let us down.
It's an old sponsor.
Yeah. Dave lied his butt off about what he's up to. But Madison is wearing "All Work and No Play Makes Jack a Dull Boy," written over and over again, and it's all on top of a typewriter.
Yes.
Which is really kind of cool because National Typewriter Day is June the 23rd, and we're going to celebrate the written word a little bit here, a little old school. You know, everything old is new again. Typewriters have a strong history not only in the world but through the U.S. as well. They might not be as popular as our laptops these days, but man, they're fun and they're a neat way to exercise your brain. You, as a matter of fact, have a military career that begins with a typewriter, do you not?
I have a strange and unusual military career that begins with a typewriter. But you know, in the trucking world, I used to, when Ray Wittenberg started The Trucker, and The Trucker was at that time a newspaper with newsprint, I mean, just like a regular newspaper. And I wrote a column for Ray on my dining room table Actually, the dining room table was in the kitchen in this house. But I had a little blue Smith Corona electric typewriter at this point, and I used to peck out columns on country music history and some other things like Old West history, the page from the Old Western
Just like
scrapbook.
Matthew Holbert, who returns to the show this week.
Yeah.
That's his métier. So everything old is new again. Yeah.
Everything
so
old
you're
is new
typing
again.
it out,
Yeah.
making that happen. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about the military thing with the typing. This is so cool.
Oh, well, when I got to Fort Hood, Texas, winter of
Just put your hand over your mouth. 19.
Yeah, exactly. A long time ago. I got up, they told me that my MOS was 71R, which was radio broadcaster. And nobody knew what it
The
was.
military does try to take it. If you have a skill
Mm-hmm.
and they know about it, they try to figure out a way to make it work for them.
They do, which is why there was one guy in our basic training unit that he was from New Jersey. He had a master's degree in public health. And Jimmy, they made him an MP. So there's that, right? And
Yeah, Master of Public Health, MP.
yeah, that's
I'm only being half funny.
Yeah.
I think somebody probably went, oh, I see what we can do here.
Yeah.
This will work. This is close enough. It's close enough.
Yeah.
It's like horseshoes, hydrogen bombs, and hand grenades.
Yeah.
MP in one direction or another. Go on. I'm sorry.
Oh, so anyway, my girlfriend in high school, and well, then we got married in college. But at any rate, I really only typed that one thing for Ray Wittenberg. And it went, chunk, 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 chunk. My
That's pretty
columns.
good, by the way.
I still have some columns.
Shunk, 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 shunk,
Yeah,
shunk, 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 shunk.
exactly. But she typed all my papers through school. So when I got to Fort Hood, they told me I was going to be a clerk typist. And they said, can you do it? And I said, sure.
Sure, why not?
It's Friday. When do I start? Monday. You know, they have transition barracks. So guys coming out, guys coming in, they wind up in the same barracks for 2-3 days, and then they move either out or in. And I met the guy that I was going to replace at the CMMI team. He taught me enough typing over the weekend
To get you
pass
through
the
it.
test on Monday morning.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's
Yeah.
like, you know what he did? He said, come over here and lifted up the bottom of the fence and let you kind of slide on through.
Yeah.
That's a grace note, man. I got to tell you, I miss typewriters because that's how I got my start as a reporter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even with I hated the electric ones. I hated them. I'm so much like, I'm a two-finger typist. I don't know if
You are a two-finger typist.
but I can type. That's the craziest thing. I remember when Claire figured out, Claire's like, wait a minute, I thought you were two fingers, but I'm hearing like the rattle of keys. And, I'm hearing the rattle of keys. And they walked in and Claire looked at what I was doing and went, wait a minute, how many words a minute can you type with two fingers? I said 45.
Nice.
That's not bad.
And it's because I don't have to look at the keys. That's the thing. I mean, I probably should learn how to actually really type at some point, which fingers to use. But why, man? I'm doing fine. Everything's great. By the way, our good friend Chowda says, good morning all. Chowda up and stirring, waiting on a load, out of the house. All be safe. The Doodah Man is giving a big shout out to our good friend Tara the Turtle, who's lurking someplace in there.
Where
Guys,
are you seeing all of these?
I'm going to show you after the show. By the way, I'm going to pick on my friend here. I'm going to pick on Dre, too. I'm going to pick on everybody. You guys are the most unfocused group of human beings I have ever met in my life. It's like the best. But here's the thing. You're both so ratiocinative, fancy pants word for being able to be aware of everything all at once, that you completely compensate for it by being so kind of... You're both golfers who hit the ball in the rough and then make the amazing shot to get the hell out of it, which makes you guys kind of like the Phil Mickelson of radio, or the Arnold Palmer of radio. So you know what? I guess I'm complimenting you. Take
Well,
the
thank you.
compliment. We
Thank
got a
you very
phone call
much.
coming in, by the way.
Do we really?
Who we got, Dre? Who do we got, Madison? Who do we got on the phone? Who's here? Who do we got?
We have Paul from Oklahoma.
I need a bigger smile than that.
Paul
I'm not
from
telling-
Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's because of the way you talk. I am not telling the female in the studio, you should
You need to
smile
smile
more.
more.
You're much prettier.
Yeah, I'm
no,
calling
the thing.
HR.
I don't know if you noticed, Dave and I calling HR. Oh, hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed. We should really do something about Jimmy Mack. He's terrible. Paul from Oklahoma is on the scene. What's going on?
Howdy.
Howdy.
Paul is here.
If-
Paul is
If
here.
you type with 2 fingers, you're twice as good as me because I only type with 1. I'm a hunting pecker.
Hunting.
So, you know, on Friday when you had the Corvette guy on,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
just after he came on, I look in the mirror. I was on I-40 in Arkansas going west, and here comes 7 Corvettes, bumper to bumper. I guess they're going to a show or something, so, which quite often happens around this time of the year. Then Corvette guys love to drive cars. So, yeah.
The Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven were making their way down the road in Arkansas. Dude, it's so fun that you would call today because, you know, Pittsburgh Power ends the show, is our last hour of the show today. And they've been asking about you. How you been? How are you doing?
Riding the roller coaster of trucking, it's been kind of rough 12 months for me between found out my wife had cancer, and then I've had quite a bit of truck trouble, and I just had Pittsburgh Power did a in-frame rebuild on my truck. So, but then yesterday had a whole bunch of emission codes pop up, but I got to go see the truck doctor today and see if we can get some. They went off all by themselves though, so it's one of those problems that when you hear sometimes, gone other times. It's annoying. So
I know. My friend, I have to tell you, I'm so glad to hear your voice, though, because our good friend Eric Moser and I had talked about you at length, and I am glad to hear you back in the game. I know it's been a rough 12 months, and can I tell you something? Yeah. We're not going through what you're going through, but Dave and I can say over at RadioNemo on this particular issue, a lot of the stuff we understand. We understand.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, well, this will be, like, I've been in this country for 25 and a half years, and this will be the first 12-month period that I've done less than 100,000 miles in 12 months. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, which is, I'll be about 95,000 from start of July last year through to the end of June this year. So that's a record low for me. So, but you were talking about typing and military.
Mm-hmm.
So my father-in-law, Milden Mather, Milden, Mather, Mathre. He was a fighter pilot in World War II, and he's actually on the cover of the book, The Flying Aces. So we have his filing cabinet at home, and I've never really looked in it, but there's a lot of typed files in there, so I imagine it's probably some interesting reading in that cabinet if I ever get around to it. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Actually, you and I have something in common. My grandfather was a fighter pilot in World War II. So there we go. There's all kinds of connections there as well. And every once in a while, I post a picture of him in his Army Air Corps uniform day. They actually brought him home from the Pacific because, unlike the Japanese, we actually got smart and brought some of our best pilots home to train the other pilots to get them up in the air. It was a thing that we figured out pretty bright and early that gave us a real advantage. Paul, we got to take a break to do our pledge and national anthem.
No,
I can't tell you how grateful we are that you're our first phone caller this morning on Nemo Nation, man. Woo! Good to have you. Welcome back.
I'm tuned in, so
Fantastic.
there you have it.
Fantastic. Paul calling from Oklahoma. By the way, first year in 24 in this country, he didn't get that 100,000. I have a feeling he'll get that 100,000 this coming year, though. Looking forward to it. We have a great show today. We'll tell you all about it on the other side of this break. Lots of groovy stuff going on. More stuff to talk about it. I never got back to Madison's T-shirt, and you with the, what your costume is supposed to be this morning. We'll talk about that.
The green door.
Not the green door. All right, everybody, take a deep breath because now we're gonna move on. To our pledge and national anthem, of course, and a bracing word of Java from our good friend John. Before then, though, truck down, truck up, and get down. Go to truckdown.com. I want you to head over there and download that app. When you download that app, what you're going to do is you're going to give yourself access to all 50 states and all 8 provinces, making sure that you can find a service provider if, in fact, you break down. Go to truckdown.com. They've been doing it since '97, and I got a feeling they're going to keep on doing it for some time to come. We'll be back after this moment of reflection.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It's Monday, 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 Monday. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I do pray that all is well with you. Hey, I got something I want to share with you, and it's found in Luke chapter 15, verse 7. It says, I tell you that in the same way there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over the 99 righteous who do not need to repent. But I mean, that right there, if you really want to hurt somebody's feeling, just go right ahead and read that to them. Read them Luke 15, verse 7. Now, he says, I tell you that in the same way there will be more rejoicing in heaven. You know what he just got through saying? Luke just got through saying that God and the angels in heaven get more excited and overjoyed when someone gives their life to Jesus Christ as their personal Savior.
Indeed.
He says people get in heaven, there's a victory celebration because someone has made a commitment to give their life to Christ. And I want to share this with you this morning. Please, please, please share your faith with someone so that they can get into the family of God. And once they get in the family of God, you get an opportunity to let the angels in heaven celebrate knowing that someone else has joined the family of God. God bless you, brothers and sisters.
Man, my family's right here. Amen, amen.
You saw a pretty good movie. What'd you see?
It was called Focus.
Didn't retain any of it, huh?
Not a lick.
With
Not a
Will
lick.
Smith and
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty doggone good. I really enjoyed it. We liked it.
You got that Fastport copy in front of you?
You mean the Fastport copy that says Fastport solves America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges through research, technology, and people?
That's it.
It's not in front of me. I just know this stuff.
Oh, you just know this stuff. Just
Because
kinda-
the people at Fastport are in the know. They've got some really, one of the things that really impresses me about Fastport is they know the difference. And they know the difference between being veteran friendly and veteran ready. And there's a complete difference there. And Fastport really breaks through all of those barriers. You can go to fastport.com or type this in once and put it in favorites, nationalapprenticeship.org.
Yeah, vet friendly is a statement. Vet ready is a reality.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference there. The Doodah Man says it's Matty Bad. Our good friend Little Roy Perrier says, howdy from hot and sticky Houston, Texas. Hey, Roy. Good to see you're out there making it happen as well. Guys, once again, we're going to repeat this. A lot of you guys listening, but we'd like all of you to hit that like button. That was the big thing that happened on Friday. A lot of people kind of jumped into the conversation that way. Just let us know they were listening, both on the Book of face and on the tube of you. If you're listening at RadioNemo.com, thank you very much. Good to have you on 365. Who do we got on the phones, Phone Master Dre?
Oh, I was going to let Madison with the T do it, but I had to jump in. Old Jody in Alabama.
Jody's first phone call is on the scene. Hey, Jody, what's going on?
What's going on, fellas? Yeah, it's taking me a minute to get used to all of this newness here that's going on, but we're getting it.
Same.
We're
Yes.
getting it.
Jody, we actually have a running joke here. We're actually bringing in a lot of different people on the show, and we want to see how fast other platforms steal these guests, because it turned out that we were doing programming for an entire platform just a couple of months ago, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So it looks like we're taking their callers away from them. Hey, man, how you doing? What's going on?
Oh, I fell into this account here. I'm doing these Camping World accounts, kind of like a part-time thing. Doing different stores and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. But I was listening to your last caller, and you guys know who I'm leased on with, and I kind of follow the company side of it. Yeah. And yesterday, these guys, they're ecstatic because they're working 7 days a week and they're getting 2,100 miles, and it's like that's 3 days. That's you guys are happy with 2,100 miles in 7 days. That's only 3 days of running. What are you guys doing with the other?
Are they
4?
being paid a salary?
Nuh-uh.
Well, then I don't know what they're happy about. If they're
Me neither.
If they're being paid a salary, I understand why they're happy. And by the way, there are some people who get paid a flat rate, and that's what they get, and the companies tell them, you make it when you make it, and we'll all figure it out together. But if you're getting paid a flat rate, I don't know in what universe 2,100 is doing the job. I'm not sure.
Right.
Unless it's precious cargo. That's a different story entirely, too. A specialty.
Well, yeah, right. And unless you're doing entertainment or whatever, and then listening to your last caller. Now, see, I'm the guy because I get paid percentage, and I pick and choose my own loads. So I pick the ones that I want that's going to pay well or as good as I want it to pay for where I'm going. Okay, so I don't want that 100,000 mile mark, because the more money I can make by running less miles is the more money I'm putting in my pocket without putting it in the fuel tank. You get it?
I got it. That's the trick, right? Basically, if you can figure out a way to make that money and to keep that rate up while minimizing the hours, that's the winner right there. That's the golden ticket, of course. But some people got to keep running, like Junker. I get Junker's text messages and emails, and it's like 3,100, 3,400. I'm like, okay, you go, man. That's a big difference. That's what a real week looks like, right?
Well, yeah. And how many times have all of us talked? And it's like, oh, I'm heading down towards St. Augustine. I think I'm going to get the flu. And I find the time to take a half a day or a day off. It's just one of those things. It's just, I'm out here to have a good time and also make money. I'm not out here to make everybody else money and kill myself by doing it. Because at the end of the line, that person I'm making the money is not going to care if I'm driving a truck for them tomorrow or not. Because they'll put somebody else, doing what I'm doing just to make them just as much money, if not more. So it's just, I'm here for me, and I know that sounds kind of rude, but after 34 years of doing this, I got to look out for my best interest, not everybody else's, other than the city.
One of the things, Jody, that we're going to talk about a little bit late. What?
He broke up. He didn't realize he broke up. Keep going. Keep going,
okay.
Dave.
One of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the program with Adrian Gilday, who is the Deputy Director of CVSA. Adrian was with us a few weeks back here in New Orleans for CVSA's annual conference. It was the day that the
announcement was made about the proficiency, right?
No, the announcement was made about the English speaking thing.
The proficiency.
Oh, yeah, English proficiency, yeah. And it was remarkable. But there's another thing brewing that affects everybody on the road. But Jody, as a lease operator, are you aware that CVSA is asking FMCSA, among other things, to have FMCSA write up official guidance that says an owner-operator cannot use personal conveyance to either return home or leave home?
Interesting.
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 Company drivers can do it, but they're going to try to pull owner-operators out of that.
Yeah.
Jody,
Jody, we still got Jody on? We still got him on. Go ahead. Ask him.
Yeah.
is that news
I heard
to
what
you?
guys-
Yeah, is that news to
that's
you?
news. That is complete news to me. Now, here's the funny thing. A lot of these guys are going to find this kind of weird, including you guys. I've been with this company since 2006, an owner operator since 2009. Okay, I've used personal conveyance once
Ah, there you go.
in all that time.
Okay.
I've used it once. I got it on my e-logs. I've used it one time, and that was just to leave where I was at doing a break and run up to the grocery store, do some grocery shopping, and come back.
That is the best example of why personal conveyance is out there. That's exactly what they want you to do.
That's exactly it. Jody, we got to float you because we got to introduce the rest of these guests that are coming up on this rapid-fire monstrosity of a muscular mess of a show. It's good to hear you. Welcome back to the fold, my friend.
Hey, it's great to hear you guys. I've told you guys before. You always have a long-time listener with me. I'll call in as much as I possibly can. I'm getting all used to this new YouTube thing. But other than Dre being on the phones, your young lady there has a very, very lovely voice. It kind of shocked me when she answered the phone. It was like, hi.
He's not. He just was surprised. Things changed.
Well, there's the bus, and it's just starting to roll.
Oh, yeah. You just tossed him. Thank you, Jody, so much for giving the
And
call.
Jody, just remember here, what we're doing here is the same thing, only different.
Yeah, by the way, our good friends out there are listening. The numbers are growing as we talk about it. I need you guys to hit that like button, though. We got a full lineup today, don't we, Dave? We got about a minute. We'll get to the other half of this in a second. But along with Gilday, who else we got coming on? I mean, our good friend Elizabeth Barner is going to show up. Jamie Jones is going to be here.
Elizabeth is out in Salt Lake City for a big convention, and she is going to bring on Judy McReynolds, who is the CEO of ArcBest, and also Leor Ron, who is the founder and CEO of Uber Freight. She's interviewing those folks out there in Salt Lake City, and we are going to find out from her what they're going to talk about.
We got to take a quick break here. Guys, don't forget the number is 615-292-6366. You might get Phone Master Dre. Might get Madison with a T. Cross your T's, dot your I's. She's got both in her name as well. So give us a call. One more time, 615-292-6366. Yes, Brian, as Radio Nemo has confirmed, the number is still the same. We'll take this quick break, come back on the other side. Numbers are growing. Conversation is growing. Jump in on the chat. Jump in on the Book of Faith. Jump in on the Tube of You. Jump in on the Odyssey. Jump in at RadioNemo.com. We are out. Speak no more.
Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
Pro drivers, say hello to your perfect fuel stop. Racetrack. Perfect as in hello, everything you need on the go. Oh, hi there, dedicated truck lanes. What's up, hot and delicious grab-and-go food? And hello, cat scales, clean restrooms, and large, easy-to-maneuver lots. Racetrack has what you want so you can get in, get out, and get back on the road, turning miles into money. Next time you need to stop, say hello to the fuel stop built for pro drivers. Racetrack, whatever gets you going.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
Live from the Fast Sports Studios, yet again, it is a Nemo Nation. Back to you guys.
Hey guys, the typewriter escaped from prison by using the shift key.
Oh.
It's National Typewriter Day, and this typewriter joke is brought to you by our friends at Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com, where they have lost and broken protection plans, and they have incredible customer service. The future is so bright, you got to wear shadyrays.com. They got your back. Welcome back to Nemo Nation. We're going to jump in with, Tara the Turtle here in just a moment, but I want to kind of go through the guests we have here. So we've talked about Elizabeth Barna. She's bringing on two guests as well. Jamie Jones is going to be here. Lots of stuff on the docket from the managing editor of Landline. Who else we got, Dave?
We have...
Stay on target, Red Leader. What did I say at the beginning of the show? What did I say at the beginning of the show?
Focus. Did you mention Ed Garston yet?
I haven't mentioned anybody but Jamie Jones and Elizabeth Barna, and you mentioned Gilday.
Yes, Adrian Gilday will be with us at 9:20 Central Time this morning. Ed Garston is a semi-retired part-time senior contributor for Forbes. He's sort of like me. In fact, he wrote his first newspaper article in 1969. I started my professional radio career in 1969. So he and I have been on parallel routes for a lot of years.
Yeah, and he's an independent operator, by the way, guys. He is a contributor to Forbes and does enough work over there to kind of be known for being over there, but he does not work for Forbes. I want to make this really clear. He is one of those guys out there who is just covering the transportation sector on his own, doing his own thing. So in many ways, like you, I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of people who make their living in journalism make their living as owner-operators, which is why I think part of the confusion of what Twitter actually began as, a lot of people don't understand what it's supposed to be and what it turned into are not the same thing. And it's why I think there was confusion over Blue Sky. A lot of journalists went over there thinking it was going to be their new platform, only to realize it was something else. That's a whole other discussion. Our good friend Showtime says he can't jump into the conversation because then how would he enjoy listening? I totally understand. Speaking of somebody who listens a lot but also participates, it's Breaker Back Talk. Our friend Touchdown Turtle has arrived on the scene in the form of...
You could do a whole
Thathothith, yeah. A thesaurus, by the way, is an animal, is a dinosaur that really liked words. Hey, Tara, what's going on?
Tea time!
Good morning. Speaking of dinosaurs, the pterodactyl is here.
Oh,
no! One more name. Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. By the way, we're gonna have a long lost friend. Where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio and Tim Ridley? But maybe I'll get the alliteration game going for you at some point, Tara. It's beginning to build up here a great deal. What's going on, my sister?
Oh my gosh, guys! I'm excited to be here. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited. We've had so much stuff on social media that I want to get to, but I honestly think I'm going to push a lot of that to Friday's Breaker Back Talk because, Dave, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole and I found an old video titled WWL Road Gang Air Check from 1989. And there were literally thousands of comments. Like, I have to send you this link.
Are you kidding?
And I'm so serious. Thousands of views, thousands of comments, and I wanted to bring those to the table today instead. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't know if we have time for... Do about 900 comments.
Yeah, not 1,000.
I'm going to do 998.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have time?
Go on.
Okay. Hearing your voice from 30 years ago was really cool, though, Dave, I have to say. It sounds a little bit different, not in a bad way, but just different. Like, I have to know, do you think your radio voice has like evolved over time? Were there phases where you intentionally were doing a radio voice, calmed it down? Do you think your voice has changed, and do you hear back then and think it sounds different?
Yes.
Okay. Simply,
When I was a kid in college, and I got my first job on a real radio station here in New Orleans, the guy who hired me, everybody on the staff sounded like this. This is WWL Radio. Okay.
From the heart of the Crescent City, it's 8:70 a.m.
Exactly. And that's what radio, you were an announcer. You were announcing things. So you had this patter, this rhythm to your voice, this presentation. And I always tried to make my voice deeper because it was considered to be a light voice. And John Pila, who had a voice that you could feel in your chest, if you sat across the desk from him and he's talking to you, and you move your head around the room while you're talking, when his mouth lined up with the center of your chest, you could feel his voice in your chest. And this guy was about as big around as a toothpick. Really a great guy, so talented. And he told me, he said, look, you have a light voice. When you get older, you're going to be glad you have a light voice. And I'm older, and I'm glad I have a light voice.
I mean, John Pila's voice was like, basically when you think about the Wichita Lineman, the song by Glenn Campbell, his version of it, you think about, like he's going to tell you he's the Wichita Lineman, the Wichita Lineman. Just like, it's like that.
Still on the line.
It's like it's that long, low rumble. And Dave, by the way, when you ask that question, because Dave, I've heard that explanation before. It's like you opened the door on one of Dave's favorite explanations, the evolution of the radio voice.
Yes, and there are no more radio voices because now it's radio. There was an old lesson number one in radio broadcasting that I learned 60 years ago now.
Throw it out the window!
Exactly. Throw it out the window. I forgot what the lesson was now. Oh, the lesson is
Focus.
Nobody wants to hear about your boat. And what they mean by that is there was a little phase in the mid-late 60s where radio disc jockeys and announcers started to personalize a little bit more. So they talked about what they did on the weekend, and people don't want to hear that. They want to hear about what they're tuned in to listen to, the music or the news or the information. They don't really want to know anything about the guy behind the microphone. It's an anonymous voice that basically is all about you and the material. That has really shifted. That dynamic has shifted now to this new, what I call next-gen media.
I think
won't
it's
say
a racket.
radio anymore.
I think they were pulling a racket on you guys. I think the DJs like Alan Freed and even Wolfman Jack were getting incredibly popular and actually throwing their weight around.
Yeah,
and
but nobody knew anything about that.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is people knew plenty about Freed, dude.
Well,
people knew plenty about Freed and
true
plenty
that.
about Dick Clark. And I think the boys downtown said, "Oh no, Radio 101, don't talk about yourself." And I think it was a way to control the DJs and not let them get too big for their britches. And I think the game changed when Stern figures out, you know what? Let's test that theory. Let's find out about that theory. Let's see how full of bullshivsky that theory is, and blew it out the water.
Okay, but look, see, the problem is there's a historic perspective here. Excuse me, that maybe only I get, because when I grew up and when I came into this industry, there were 2 radio stations in New Orleans that played rock music. They were competitors. There were 3 television channels, if you will, ABC, CBS, NBC. Now, PBS is there, but it's the 4th player in a 3-player game. So you had all of these choices that were made for you. You had you were a 1 in 3 chance, so when you got to work on Monday morning, you were going to be able to talk to somebody about what you saw on television Sunday night, whether it was Ed Sullivan or whatever. And that they used to call it water cooler talk.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about what happened on television last night.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we lived. That's what we
John
talked
Lennon's
about.
death.
That's where we
John
were.
Lennon's death. I mean, the fact of the matter was most Americans watched Monday Night Football. Even people who didn't like Monday Night Football watched Monday Night Football. And people found out that John Lennon died because Howard Cosell told them he did. It's a really interesting conversation because you even get like Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater, that movie. But I think the rise of that personality-driven stuff was actually stamped down by the powers that be, Dave. I think they stamped it down in order to kind of re-exert their control over the industry. And everybody just kind of said, well, that's the way it is. And then this Jewish guy with big black curly hair showed up and said, yeah, let's find out if that's true. And on the flip side of it, you got that cigar-smoking maniac, Limbaugh, who shows up and is like, I'm going to talk about my boat, I'm going to talk about the great life I have, and you can have it too. You know, and I think
it's a dynamic shift.
But I think he was onto something. The idea that it's like, I think you can talk about your boat, but I do agree with you. You can talk about your boat if you're promising the listeners that by listening to you, they can get a boat too. By the way, our good friend Chowder, I've got to share this with you. Could somebody buy Dave a Ford so we could have some focus?
Write it down.
Chowder, show yourself out. By the way, you can.
Who was
you can
that
do that.
voice that just appeared?
The person who
Tara,
segmented
the
it.
Supposed to. Yeah, this is yours.
This is her segment.
I'm still here, guys. I'm still here.
Take it away, Tara.
Go on.
And now the takeaway from Tara.
The pterodactyl takeaway.
There you
The
go.
pterodactyl takeaway. Tea time with Tara. The WWL Road Gang Air Check from 1989 had so many comments, and I want to get to some of them. A lot of them are just like the voice, the radio of like the evolution of voices. They're going to be right in your wheelhouse, Dave, so I want to get to them.
Okay.
So this first comment says, as a young cop, the older cops introduced me to WWL. Many long nights, happy ones. Miss that kind of radio today. This next comment says, not enough time or space on here to share all of my WWL memories. My dad was a trucker and showed it to me. When I was 13, I would listen on my bedside clock radio in 1973. In the late 80s, I would listen while hauling freight. I still listen to Dave to this day.
Wow.
The bedside clock radio seems to be like a long-going like theme, because not too long ago we had a comment from someone that said, I was embarrassed to have a pink bedside clock radio, but I was not embarrassed to listen to Dave, and that's what they would listen to daily. So I think that's a recurring theme.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey, by the way, people who are embarrassed about pink, don't be, because today is National Pink Day.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
How did
deadly
I
serious.
miss
No
that?
way.
Today is National Pink Day, by the way, guys. Whoever said orange is the new pink is seriously disturbed. Pink is the only pink. And by the way, a real man shows his masculinity. Remember that back in the 80s, people would wear pink button-downs and be like, real man shows his masculinity by wearing a pink button-down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don Johnson, paging Don Johnson. Go on, Tara. Keep reading those comments.
This next comment comes in and it says, not only truck drivers enjoyed this show. Imagine a 12-year-old city boy, not even country music fan, sitting behind a giant oak desk in the basement in St. Louis, DXing and listening to WWL for hours almost every night. Wow. And Dave, I had to look this up, but can you explain to folks what exactly DXing is?
Well, it just means it's just a phrase for a long distance listening, and they used to do something back in the 50s and 60s. If you listened to, it was sort of a hobby too. You would be at home late at night, tuning around on your AM dial, and then you would hear a station like from St. Louis. Maybe you're in New York and you're in St. Louis or Miami or whatever, and you would write a postcard to the station and tell them when you heard it. Like if you were listening to us now, you would say, "I heard you at 7:42 a.m."
You got it right. You got it right.
7:42 a.m. on June 23rd, and you were talking about your voice on the radio in 1989. And then the station would send you what is known as a QSL card, which indicated that you did hear that signal, and here's your proof. And it became sort of like a collection thing where you'd have a collection of QSL cards from the radio stations. The furthest one I ever got was a little bitty, you know what a reel-to-reel tape looks like? Those are 7-inch reels. This was like a little 3.5-inch reel, and it was from Sweden. It was from a town 60 miles south of Stockholm, and it was me And my voice, and I was talking about King Edward cigars, which I guess I can say now. And that was one of the big sponsors. Every time you give the time check, you would say it was time for the cigar, and that was their proof that they heard the show.
And the person who was actually smoking every time Dave was asking if you got him, that person died 5 minutes after the show was over with, given how much they had to smoke to kind of keep up. We got to take a really quick phone call here. We are talking Breaker Back Talk here on Nemo Nation. Who do I got? Phone Master Dre. Is it okay?
Man, well, I was going to let Madison do this, man, but she is busy. We are going to talk to good old Weasel in South Dakota. He wants to talk typewriters.
Everybody, Weasel's here. Talk to typewriters about it. Weasel, the Weasel.
Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And my kids watched me using a laptop one time and asked how come I was trying to kill their laptop the way I typed. I had to take, I typed in, started off being noisy for just a moment here, but I started off in typing in high school, and we had manual typewriters to start with, and we had to use carbon paper and type hard enough to make 10 copies. So that was about like hitting the keys with a sledgehammer.
Funk, 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 funk.
When we moved to electric, I stayed typing like that, and now when I have a laptop and stuff, I am still rather heavy on the keyboard.
Let me tell you something, and Dave actually probably has experienced this too, having worked over at WWL back in the day. Dave, in the early '90s, the first newsroom I ever worked in, the first time I walked in, it was the most romantic thing to ever happen to me in regards to like literary stuff. The amount of thunk, 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 thunk. The number of guys who had their own little, I had one too, little miniature typewriters. You know, those small ones, the minis, you could just work like crazy. But Weasel's right, man. You would have people that had these thick stacks who were like typing to get like 4, 5, 10 copies of things done. But that sound and that smell of the ink, of the ribbon.
Yeah.
You could smell the ribbon in a room. You get a big enough room with enough people typing, it's a different smell, man. You know that smell I'm talking about, Weasel?
I faintly remember that 'cause we had like
Faintly, see?
20 kids typing in the class at one time.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a whole class full of kids beating away like that. And
There were two smells from grammar school that bring me right back to the hallway. One of them was mimeograph ink.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's no smell like I'm surprised nobody ever made a mimeograph cologne. It would probably go over real well. And the other one was Pine Sol. A mimeograph and Pine Sol.
Oh, my God.
Those kids were always puking all over that school.
Well, you know, the
man.
thing is, I realized something else, Weasel. We grew up in such a smoking era that the amount of work that people did to keep the smell of cigarette smokes out of buildings where people smoked like chimneys was insane, dude. So the smell of bleach, Pine Sol, it was just overwhelming everywhere, any place that was clean. So we were poisoning ourselves either with cigarettes or by inhaling bleach. Good times, man. Good times.
The typing teacher would give us whatever to type after we got doing it, and she'd slip away into the back office in the back room in the office and have a cigarette. And when she came back, she smelled like solid smoke. During class hours.
By the way, that is the name of a new video game action hero, Solid Smoke. Solid Smoke.
Wow.
We used to have a professor, by the way, in our biology class. He would just go to the window, open it up, and just smoke out the window while teaching us about biology. He never got to the section on lungs. I didn't understand why he wouldn't actually come. Weasel, it's good to hear from you, brother. Final thought before we let you shuffle off this radio coil.
I better get my butt up and get going to work here. So it's time I get out of here. But Thank you, folks. Way too many of you to name in person, so thank you all, folks.
Thank you, by the way.
Thank you, Weasel.
That's all, folks.
Continuing with Touchdown Tara, you can hear, by the way, what is it? It's like the sixth garbage truck that has rolled by this place today. It's like the most insane thing. We're going to get to another phone call here in a second, but Tara, you got another comment for us. Let it roll.
Go for it.
Well, firstly, I love hearing you guys talk about what you guys grew up with, and then I always love saying what I grew up with because it's quite different. But I literally typed my first paper, just a little different. I typed my first paper on a Apple laptop in the computer lab of my elementary school, and so I it's so strange because I feel like kids' toys. There's like this weird romanticized version of real life objects that people have as kids' toys, like ironing boards and laundromat, like all that kind of stuff. And so I had a toy typewriter that was like hot pink, and it was like romanticized version of that. So I just thought I'd slip that in.
Oh, by the way, that is a tradition that has gone on since time immemorial. Remember remember the thing is that I think you almost burned your house down once. Didn't you get one of your girls one of those little pie makers, baker? What is that thing?
Easy Bake Oven.
Easy Bake Oven, man.
Easy Bake Oven.
The Easy Bake
Yes,
Oven.
I had one.
And dude, you know that there was a Fisher Price toy that was a car parking lot. There was a Fisher Price toy that was a two-story car parking lot with a little ramp that went along the side. I mean, everything is
You
warm
want to
up.
grow up so bad with those toys. Like you want to be the mom and you want to be all these things. Then you get out of the toy stage and you're like, whew, don't want to do this anymore.
No, and then you get to be 28 years old and suddenly you're buying swords on the internet and deciding you want to be Conan, you know what I'm saying? Or Xena Warrior Princess. That's the reality. Dre, who do we got? We got another phone call here coming in. Who do we got?
All right, let me hit my 14 buttons before I come up on top, guys. But we got Michelle. She is in New Jersey, but I think y'all are acquainted already.
Oh, we know Michelle. We know, yeah, you know Michelle and Brian, Dave. You know them.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, man, good morning to you. Welcome to the party, pal. How you doing,
Good
Michelle?
morning.
Good morning.
We're good.
Where you at?
We just got unloaded here in New Jersey.
I'm going to get loaded here after the show. No, I don't do that anymore. Never mind. So what's going on? What's been happening with you guys? Where are you at these days? You're in New Jersey, of course, but what's happening?
Yes. Not just running our butts off.
Are you guys going to do Rees again this year?
Yes, of course.
Of course they are. By the way, Dave, as you well know, Dave got his first chance to actually drop in to the driver's lounge for the first time ever. Are you going to go back again, Dave? Or you had enough of that? Oh, you're going back. Dave's going back. Dave's in. By the way, really quickly, Michael Whitaker says good morning. Michael Whitaker, of all people. Good morning to you, Michael. Yeah. Our good friend Paul Starkey says good morning, RGR. Hey, by the way, only one person's getting biscuits and gravy. I need more evidence and proof. People got to get on top of that. All right, Michelle, how's Brian doing?
Oh, I guess he's doing okay. He's driving right now.
Well, we're glad you guys are handling it that way, by the way. That's a good strategy. If you're going to call in, have the person riding shotgun call in.
Yep.
Have you now, let me ask you a question. How long have you been listening to our new platform? You just jump in last week, or were you with us from the beginning? What's going on?
I listened here and there, but I've listened on YouTube today.
It's pretty fun, isn't it? Pretty fun over here. It's kind of crazy, by the way. People got to hit that like button.
It's more interesting when you're on hold. You can hear everybody.
Oh, thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah, it's really fun, by the way. If you call in, by the way, you can hear every single mic, which means it's really cool how we've set things up here. Dre can actually tell us how much time we have remaining, all that kind of groovy stuff, and we don't. You can't hear it. The guys out there can't hear it. So Dre could actually whisper in our ear, "Hey guys, you got a phone call." Madison can talk to us. It's really groovy. We got some great equipment. Our friends at Fastboard made sure we actually get. My dear, we have to shuffle off the coil to get back to Tara, but it's so good to hear you and Brian. Final thoughts.
I just wanted to call in and say hi to everybody. That's all.
Good enough. Good enough, by the way. Keep calling, keep listening. We love you. Thank you, Michelle. And please tell Brian we're rooting for him. We're rooting for him.
Right.
All right, man. Bye.
Bye.
Tara, go on.
Go on. I have a couple comments left I want to squeeze in here from that video. And this one comes in and it says, "These are old memories from my freight hauling days. I remember way down yonder in New Orleans. Listened to the Road Gang many a night. Thanks for the memories. And the next comment says, and this one's especially cool. I worked weekend shifts at WWL in the early 90s, and on Saturday nights, either John Parker or Dave Nemo would come in and prep for the road gang after the top of the hour news. Thanks for posting, and brings back lots of memories.
Wow.
Let that land. Let that land
Yeah.
for a moment. We're going to shift on back over to the phones. What do we got, Dre?
Oh, you know, Mark just calling about whatever.
Mark's calling about whatever. Mark, welcome to the party, pal. What's going on in Ohio or Kentucky?
Ohio.
In Ohio at the moment for about the next 15, well, wait a minute, probably about 20 minutes since traffic's a little backed up. But good morning, Tara. Morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Jim.
Good morning.
Trey, and Madison with the T.
There you go.
Did I get everybody?
You got everybody. You got the whole enchilada and the burrito on the side.
How about when you were talking about carbon paper earlier, or with school with the old Ditto machine, that smell of the chemical that they used to use?
Mimeograph.
Yeah. I couldn't think. Well, I just called it Ditto machine, but
My other favorite was back in those old days in those typing rooms. There'd always be somebody talking on a dictaphone too. So you'd have and the ability of some of those women to be able to focus and actually talk coherently about what they would be typing, or somebody, while all of this thunderous typing would be going on around them, always never ceased to amaze me. I thought one day I'll be that good, and then one day all those things went away. That's kind of the reality. Mark, before we let you go and get Tara out of here, was there any smell from your childhood that lingers, as it were?
Oh.
Come on, there's got to be something. Something. Fresh cut grass.
Some smell of the North Sea.
Oh, that's great.
Smell of what?
The North Sea.
Oh, the North Sea.
I'm sorry. That goes to my Dutch roots. Like when I was like 12, 13, went to Holland with my parents. They're originally from the Netherlands, and went to the North Sea, Rotterdam, Den Haag. We were in Amsterdam. So it even went to one of the tulip auctions.
I hope the smell of the North Sea greets you wherever you go, my friend. Thank you so much for the call, Mark.
So too.
Get out of here.
Yes, sir. Have a great one, everybody. Hey, Trey, you know.
Mark, thank you.
Later.
By the way, Dave, to answer your question about some of your deepest concerns, Marty Ellis, of all people, jumped in on the chat and he says, "Good morning, I'm heading to Grain Valley." And of course, Grain Valley is the headquarters of
OIDA.
Who, by the way, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays often has trucking with OIDA, which is immediately after these shows on RadioNemo.com. Tara, final thought before we shuffle off this radio coil.
Thanks, guys, for listening, and thanks for having me, Dave and Jimmy. It's always so much fun.
Thank you, Tara. We are 61 minutes into this live streaming situation. Dave, Nemo, Phone Master Dre, Madison with a T, and of course, Turtle Touchdown, Touchdown Turtle, Pterodactyl Turtle, all the T's, all the time, here on RadioNemo.com. Dre, get us out of here.
Can I say something right now?
Please.
Going home from the road gang at 5 in the morning, I would pass by Sunbeam Bakery and Community Coffee. They were roasting coffee and baking bread.
Freight is moving at Creek Carrier and Schaefer Trucking. We are growing and our customers keep growing with us. If you want to be part of a company that appreciates what you do and rewards you for it, you should check out Creek Carrier Corporation. We're looking for safe drivers that have at least 1 year's experience and take their jobs seriously. Then we reward you with great pay and some real serious benefits. Freight's moving, so check out Creed and Schaefer today. Go to creekcarrier.com and find the right job for you.
Wait a minute. Are you running all of your rig's accessories?
All of them. You like that?
No, why would I? Your engine's turned off.
That means I ain't violating no idling laws. You like that?
No, why would I? That means you're running off your battery.
I'm running on an Odyssey battery. You like that?
No, why? Wait, Did you say an Odyssey battery?
Odyssey battery. Rugged, maintenance-free, thin plate pure lead technology, and massive deep cycling capability. Plenty of reserve power to run onboard accessories. Engine on or off. Twice the power, 3 times the life of conventional batteries. That's an Odyssey battery. You like that?
No, I don't like that. I love that. Wait a minute. The crickets stopped.
Odyssey hasn't.
Get yourself an Odyssey battery. Performance you can count on.
The mission of Wreaths Across America is unwavering, remembering our fallen heroes, honoring those who are currently serving, along with their families, and most importantly, teaching the next generation about the value of freedom. And you can join our mission with a $17 donation that sponsors a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. Each wreath will be laid in honor of a veteran who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. To sponsor your wreath, please visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
The Joshua Chamberlain Society is unlike any other veterans organization. It's truly a family, and I know that firsthand from working with them myself. Their mission is to make wounded veterans and families of deceased veterans feel the support and appreciation of their community for life. Our veterans' injuries are permanent, and so is the JCS support. From monetary assistance like paying utility bills or college funds to helping our heroes find purpose, JCS is a family that surrounds and supports the heroes who have sacrificed so much. Learn more and make your donation at chamberlainsociety.org. That's chamberlainsociety.org.
We are back with more Nemo Nation, live from RadioNemo.com, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and more. Jimmy, take it away.
Hey, by the way, I'm sitting, of course, with a man who was introduced to Korea by a little naked boy peeing on the side of the road. Our good friend
You remember
Dave,
that story?
Of course I remember that story, and at some point we'll actually tell it on the air. I want you guys to think about this. Hashtag Truck N, as in the letter N, Hustle. Hashtag Truck N Hustle Podcast. It is one of the leading podcasts and platforms for transportation, logistics, and supply chain professionals. It's hosted by Ramel Watley. The show dives deep into the stories of entrepreneurs, trucking experts, and industry leaders, providing valuable insights, strategies, and inspiration. Whether you're a trucker, a small fleet owner, a freight broker, or an aspiring business owner, Truck and Hustle delivers practical knowledge to help you scale, grow, and thrive in the transportation industry. We like to think that we have a kindred spirit here, Dave. Real conversations, real people, real hustle. Truck and Hustle. Hey, man, good morning. Welcome to your first and hopefully not your last Nemo Nation. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, sir. Good morning. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ramel, this is Dave. Good morning and welcome. Really interested in hearing your perspective on things. You know, we were talking about the difference between media. I'm going to say media now as opposed to radio or broadcasting, but when I got into broadcasting, it was a completely different relationship between, say, the person behind the microphone and the audience. But a lot of those barriers have been broken down, and you guys have really kind of got a more realistic approach, I think, to things, and a more widespread thing. I listened to the podcast you did with David Pickerel with GigSafe, and I thought that was a pretty good example of how widespread Truck and Hustle is, because you're covering all the bases. Kind of maybe pull a couple of things out that you're really proud of in terms of what you've brought to the industry through the podcast.
Yeah, sure, Dave. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored to be here this morning, and thank you for pointing that out. And yeah, there is I guess what you call like new media, the traditional media outlets. When I kind of came into the industry in terms of in the media space, they were really talking about a lot of high level data and trends and things of that nature. And what Truck and Hustle, what we strive to do is really be storytellers and really tell the stories of the individuals who are kind of on the ground, the people who are getting the work done day to day. We wanted to highlight, blue collar workers. We wanted to highlight individuals all throughout the supply chain, and just, make people aware of all the opportunities that are here, via entrepreneurship, and just make people aware of just this vast industry that we're all a part of. It just doesn't stop at the truck or the trucker. There's other aspects to that. And we just want to, show everybody that. And we just try to do that through telling people stories. And that's what we've done, since 2019 when we started the podcast. And like you said, we want to just give different vantage points all over the supply chain and just, just tell people, just show people, man, through actual real stories of what's happening in the world.
You basically, in a sense, and I'm going to put this in one sentence and then you kind of tear it apart. Ramel Watley is with us, and of course he heads up truckinhustle.com, truck, and then the letter N, truckinhustle.com. And one of the things you've done is broke down the stereotypes, because when I got into the trucking radio field back in 1972, over 50 years ago, Ramel, everybody was stereotyped. Teachers were teachers, lawyers were lawyers, doctors were doctors, and truck drivers were truck drivers, and they were all the same, or whether they were from California or Miami or New York. And we were able to see beyond that in that way, but it was so structured at that time. And the unstructured world that we live in now in terms of media, where everybody has their own pipeline into what we're doing. How many pipelines do we have right here that folks are listening right now?
We're on. I mean, we're live on 5 platforms now.
Yeah, exactly, with more to come.
With more to come.
So you've really broken down a lot of the stereotypes, and I think that really opens up the industry to a lot of people who might not want to get into trucking because they think all truck drivers are the same, and that's not me. And then they find out that no, there is a me in there.
There's a me out there for everybody, right?
Yeah, no, you guys are 100% on point, man. This industry is extremely, extremely diverse. I've been in the industry since the early 2000s. I've been in it 20 plus years. I started out getting a CDL, quickly learned that driving a truck wasn't for me. So I got into operations, working for a small mom and pop company. And actually, one of the first things that I realized was the diversity, and also just the fact that the stereotypical person that's in the industry, because I never thought I'd be in the trucking industry at all. It never was even on my mind. I didn't have any family members or any friends who were in the industry at all. But once I got into the industry, I realized that, people in this industry come from all walks of life, including the driver. I was just on a podcast the other day, and I knew a guy who was previously a doctor, who ended up, being a truck driver, right? Because he just wanted a change, and he wanted the freedom of the road, and he just wanted something different. So you'll find that there's a diverse group of people, a diverse group of ethnicities, a diverse group of people from different career paths and so forth. And, this industry is truly like the backbone of just the economy in the world, and it just gives you an idea of what the world really looks like.
Let me just kind of give you a sense, too, about how we're in this kind of we're in this postmodern, and I'm using a fancy pants term there, but we're in this kind of wonderful continuum, because our good friend Joe J on YouTube wrote, we were talking about smells earlier, the smells of our childhood.
Wait. Ramel, think about a smell from your childhood while Jim's talking.
And you'll get where you get where we're coming from here. Joe writes, I grew up on a farm in the 80s. Hay baling season smell will stick with me forever. And, Dave and I have talked about this, Ramel, the idea that, so many of the older generation of truck drivers came either from the military, the farm, or actually had a truck driving parent. Sometimes, in the case of our contributor, Kevin Lindsay, all three. Mm-hmm. It's changed a great deal since then, and what you've got to do with this podcast, it's a mosaic. I mean, the thing is that each individual podcast by itself is wonderful, informative, and gives us a niche, but you're kind of building this really diverse picture of all the people that are contributing to the sector. And we wanted to spend the first time we get a chance to talk to you, rather than our traditional thing of ask you what's going on, we wanted to kind of find out more about you. So we go back to the question that Dave asked. Give us a little smell from your childhood that still sticks with you.
Man, that's interesting. So there's a couple different smells. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and then I moved to the suburbs in central New Jersey as a young kid. So when I think of my childhood, I really think of just like outside, man. Like when we were kids, we would just ride bikes, we would play basketball, we would just be all over the place. So I think of like the smell of like grass, and I think of like the smell of just like the outdoors and other kids, right? Just that smell of just being active and being busy.
Wow.
And that's kind of what comes to mind as soon as you kind of say that. Just the smell of activity, being busy, and just fun, and just like the grass and greenery and just enjoying life, man. That's what childhood smells like to me.
If you grew up in Brooklyn, I keep thinking about the fact that I got a chance to go back there recently. I'm not from there, despite my accent. I have a deep fried Brooklyn accent. It's a New Orleanian accent. but one of the things I remember too was, as I walked past some of the baseball fields at Prospect Park and got a chance to kind of go through there, I kept thinking about the fact you said the smell of other kids. Is there anything more Little League than the smell of fresh cut grass and the smell of BO from 11-year-olds, man? It's like
little boys and dogs, they smell the same when they come inside.
Yeah, it's the absolute truth. Absolute truth.
That's it. And as soon as you said that to me, I laughed because that's the first, typically someone would go to maybe food or something like that, but I'm like, no, it's like the kids, just everybody just around and being just sweating, and that's just the smell of my childhood for real.
We could go on forever, so I'm going to throw in one more because you really brought this out, Ramel. When I was a little boy, I lived in Mississippi in grammar school years, and we lived out towards the country. So we would ride our bikes all day long and night long in the summer, and every time it started to rain, I would love the smell of that rain on the country road. And I was told later that what I was smelling was the dust. So my favorite smell was dirt. I'm smelling the dirt. But that's that smell from that first little bit of rain that would kind of excite that dust on the road.
Oh, yeah. And the smell of gasoline for me from the smell of go-karts.
Your wife loves the smell of gasoline.
You're bringing up so many good points. Yep.
All right. We've only got... Go ahead.
Yeah,
no, you got it.
No, I was going to say that today, the smell of rain, that's probably my favorite smell today. I love the smell of rain, especially with this hot weather we've been having, man.
Yeah.
You smell that rain coming. It's like, oh, man, the rain is here. I love it. So.
All right. Okay.
But go ahead, guys. We don't want to belabor this topic.
All right. Really, I'll belabor it all day long, man. That's the smell of trucking right there. We've only got about a minute left with you. We're going to have you back. Promise us you're going to come back on a regular basis because we love your company.
100% I would love to. I'd be honored to. I'd love to sit down and talk with you guys as long as you'd have me.
And we'll get into some stuff.
Really quickly, is there anything in the industry this week that you're taking a really long, hard, close look at? Anything that's on your radar that you're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks?
I mean, we typically talk to entrepreneurs and we're talking about different stories and we're really covering businesses, but just obviously with the geopolitical situation that's going on right now, obviously that's something to really take a look at and how it's going to just impact small businesses. Obviously fuel prices are going to spike, insurance prices are already high, and the small business trucker, transportation companies are suffering already, and they're going to continue to suffer. And, we're just hoping that this thing kind of pans out as soon as it possibly can because it's tough already. And, these type of situations just really hit home, for everybody. So that's really what we're kind of focusing on, and we're just praying that everything kind of works itself out.
Truckandhustle.com. Ramel Watley has joined us this morning. We're going to get you back on sooner rather than later. Go have the best of days and go make some great content as well, sir.
Dave, Jimmy, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
As we get our next guest ready, and I'll let Dave kind of queue up to introduce our next guest here on the show, I'll remind you guys to go to truckdown.com. At truckdown.com, you're going to find a service that's been going on since 1997, making sure that maintenance providers find their way to take care of you while you're on the road. They are 50 states. 8 provinces as well. Go to truckdown.com and get yourself out of the ditch and get your business back on the road. We pivot once again. We pivot, as Lindsay would like to say, to our next guest. By the way, Dave, would you care to do the honors?
A dear friend, personally and professionally, is about to join us, Elizabeth Barna, who heads up now EAB Strategies.
Brilliant woman!
Yes. And Elizabeth has always been one of these people that you could call her at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning and she'll answer on the second ring because she was always up working. Hopefully you get a little bit more rest now, but thanks for being with us. But you're out in Salt Lake City.
I am, and thanks so much for having me.
Elizabeth, okay, so Elizabeth sent me an email and says I'm in Salt Lake City, and for some reason I heard Las Vegas in my head, so I said, "Well, have a great
different place, very emotionally different place. The inhabitants are in a different place."
Exactly. And to that point, so I said, she says, "Hey, I'm in Salt Lake City, not Vegas." I said, "Oh, my bad." I said, "My first impression of Salt Lake City back in the '80s when I first went there was the ear signs." Okay, you get a convenience store, gas station on the side of the road, and you would see a big sign that said EER. Oh, well, what is that, right? Well, they couldn't put the B in front, right, Elizabeth?
Right.
Couldn't put beer on a sign out there. I don't know if that's still the same. Did you see any of those?
Did they have Oka-Ola there, too?
Oka-Ola, yeah.
Well, we were here one year for truck driving championships, and we went out to dinner, and folks had a beer, and then they went to order a second one, and the waitress said, "Well, you have to finish that first one, and I have to take the glass before you can order a second."
Oh my God, I never got that
So-
far. Oh my goodness gracious alive. So anyway, you're out there talking to some pretty high-powered people. You're out there at a conference. Maybe you can give us a thumbnail on the conference, and then you'll be talking to Judy McReynolds and Leo Ron.
That's right. Yeah, I'm at the SMC3 conference, and they've got 2 a year. This is their summer meeting, and they're basically a transportation data technology group. They have a great pricing model for LTL carriers, and they're expanding that to truckload. But they do these conferences, and it's really good networking for them. But folks come, and then they meet with their 3PLs, so they all have their own little conference rooms too. But they've got a great program lined up. And so they start this morning off with Scott Hamilton because, of course, we're in the city where the Olympics were held and will be held in 2032. But he's the keynote this morning. And then I am going to be interviewing ArcBest Chairman and CEO Judy McReynolds, which is exciting. I've known Judy for over 20 years. And so we'll get to dive into, what she's thinking about that economic environment, their technology, what they're using, if they're using AI, how they started out as just an LTL company, and they're really a fully service integrated logistics corporation now. So, ask some of those kind of questions and learn a little bit more about what's on her mind.
Indeed. And then you're talking with Leo Ron, and for those who don't know the name, and I'm just kind of learning the name myself, and I should have known it a long time ago, he started and is the CEO of Uber Freight, and we're kind of zeroing back to the gig economy right there, huh?
We are, and it's exciting. I have never met him. I'm having breakfast with him in a little bit. To meet him, I'm filling in for a reporter that was unable to come. So, just to meet him before I interview him later today will be great. But, the cool thing about him is he grew Google Maps from 1 million users to 1 billion. And, that's one thing that we can all really relate to is, what did we do before Google Maps? We had like the AAA, page by page turn.
Triptych.
Yeah.
Everybody was lost a lot. But, so I get to interview him, and his background is really interesting. He started in the Israeli intelligence army and then transformed over here and has really focused just on technology and AI. So that'll be really exciting.
When you plan a conference and as the conference planners, and then when the attendees and the participants like you come in, or we come in, we all think there's a theme and there's an agenda, and then something happens 20 minutes before it starts. What happened 20 minutes ago? You know what I mean? This year,
Exactly.
what was the focus, and what's the focus shift if there is one?
I did a lot of conferences at my time at ATA, so you always have to have a plan B and C. That's for sure.
And has there been a shift?
Oh, go ahead.
Has there been a shift, Elizabeth? Has something changed?
Not yet. It starts in it starts in about an hour, so we'll see. But I did have dinner last night with a good friend of yours, John Esparza.
Oh, John Esparza, yeah.
Yep, he is going to be here on a border panel, talking about that. And so we got to catch up and have dinner. I've known John, forever too. And he's excited. He said you guys are coming out to his conference again this year, and couldn't say enough great things about the Nemo team.
Oh, thank you so much. And by the way, just to let our listeners know, Elizabeth brings up a point. It is our first trip as in our new platform, in our new existence. We're going to be going from TXTA and doing that thing. Elizabeth, I'm going to shift to something really fun here for a second. We've been asking everybody else. We might as well include you in on this nonsense. Somehow,
hot homemade chocolate cocoa.
oh my God! Well done.
Well
wow. Done.
Well, listening, you guys.
Oh, fantastic! Can you contextualize a little bit of it for us? Because I can actually.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, in the sort of the country, and we would use our sleds or whatever we could find to go down the hill and then trudge all the way back up. And my mom would open the door, and all the kids in the neighborhood, we would go in, and she'd have 2 huge pots of hot cocoa on the stove for us and marshmallows, and you could just smell it a mile away. It was the best childhood memory you could ever have.
Oh, that's fantastic. By the way, I can tell you one of my favorite food smells is my mom is one of 7 kids, and each one of them was in charge of a particular holiday. My mom got Halloween, and so right as the weather would turn fall, on Halloween night she would make barbecue beef brisket. And literally everybody in our family would go over there before hitting the neighborhood for Halloween. So even when I go in the summer to go get barbecue beef brisket and I smell it, I'm like, why do I suddenly have the urge for a mini Snickers bar? I don't know what's happening in my life. Elizabeth, where can people find out more about you? Because we got to shuffle off this radio call. We've only got a few moments left. Go ahead.
My LinkedIn page, Elizabeth Barna. I'm at eabstrat.com to elizabeth.barna at eabstrat.com.
Do us a favor, by the way, when you get some more fun information, I know you got a direct pipeline to Dave. You've been a friend throughout this whole process. So keep us informed. Let us know what's going on over there. We will drop in information about what's happening at the conference this week on Road Gang Radio as well. So just keep us in the loop and let us know what's going on. We love you.
Love you too. Thanks, you guys. Have a great show.
You too, Elizabeth, and enjoy an ear out there when you're there.
Yeah.
I sure will.
little Oka-Ola and a little bit of ear and a little bit of offie.
Yeah, there you go.
We're a little off here, by the way, on Nemo Nation. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Go to RadioNemo.com. Head on over to the tube of you where you can participate in the chat. Our good friend Paranormal Pie Man is only staying awake because he is, in fact... listening to us. He's actually at the loading dock waiting for them to get him loaded. Thank you, Paranormal Pie Man. Chowder has shuffled off the radio coil, and we continue bringing people into this radio coil. Who do we have next? That's right, rumbling, bumbling,
of
stumbling.
all people in the whole wide world, one of our most favoritist, Jamie Jones is with us.
Jamie Jones, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning, Landline Managing Editor.
Grand Poobah of everything. There she is.
Oh, I don't know about that.
What's happening?
Oh, man, it got hot here. All of a sudden, we had a beautiful spring, and it got so hot and nasty. It was terrible this weekend.
Was it the smell of a Little League BO in the air? Was it that bad? Was it that bad?
Oh, yeah. If I had gone outside, it probably would have been. I hunkered down and kept my nose inside.
Oh, my God. It was 95 degrees here yesterday, but the misery index put it at 107.
That's insane.
It was brutal yesterday. It was brutal.
For the last 2 or 3 years, though, our springs have been drought here, so it's been unbelievable. This year, it's come back to normal, to where it rains pretty much every afternoon at 3 o'clock, whether it needs to or not. And it feels like old home week around here, though, Jim.
It does.
Well,
it feels like we're back. Go ahead, Jamie.
No, and that's kind of the thing. We've had droughts for several years.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
had a really wet, mild spring, and it was nice, and I was loving it. This, not so much.
By the way, this not so much is fuel surcharges and market unrest is kind of what you got percolating on your brain this morning, by the way. Without getting into some of the causes of what's going on there, a lot of people are going to be checking the pumps for the next couple of weeks, and that's got to be taking up y'all's time kind of watching how that unfolds. Once again, we are in a climate of uncertainty. Is that fair?
That's extremely fair. And, politics aside, I'm not even going to get into, the memes and the name calling and all of that. It's just we're not on a playbook that anybody's familiar with right now. And that's causing a lot of uncertainty. And we haven't really had volatility in fuel prices. They've just kind of been steady high for a while. And if we get that volatility back, we've got so many new drivers in the industry that I'm not sure a lot of them know how to handle, getting their rates adjusted to accommodate for that volatility. And so that's why we're going to be focusing a lot of our energy this week, just going back to the basics of business for people who haven't been through these times, where they can figure out how to recoup some money. You won't get all of it back. That's just not ever, it doesn't seem to work that way. But we want to focus on fuel surcharges.
Let me talk to you about that really quickly, and then Dave's got a question for you. As you know, in that newsroom, you're talking about something that is changing by the minute, and I realize what you guys do over at Landline is follow changes by the minute. But how do you keep up with a situation where the news story, I mean, let's say that there is peace in our time, peace for all time happens in the next week. That changes the prices then if things ramp up. Do you guys have a plan A and plan B? Because you can't write stories before they happen. That's like, as you know, one of the great violations of journalistic ethics. You can write an obituary for somebody, but that's about all you can do in regards to advanced sort of work. How do you prepare to...
Where that place for one person at the top of the pyramid is available, so you could strive for that, but you would never make it, or very few would. Now, it seems like everybody can actually have their 15 minutes of fame, and you don't have to have a lot of money to become a superstar and make a lot of money, say, on YouTube and some of the other streaming services. We all have our individual pipeline to information, entertainment, and fame and fortune. The individualization of media is overwhelming, and it's a completely new world to somebody like me who's been in standard radio for over 50 years. When did you jump into this, and when did you realize, do you agree with what I just said, first off? And good morning.
Good morning. I absolutely agree with what you said. We know what's going on with mainstream media, right? A lot of people are jumping off mainstream media and going into, doing their own thing. I mean, Joe Rogan comes to mind, right? And podcasts and long-form content is becoming really, really important these days. And so what happened with me is I figured the gig economy, specifically Uber and Lyft, and we all use it, right? We push a button and something shows up at our house, or like a food, or our groceries, or somebody in a car, in their own private car, picks us up. And that started about a decade ago, and we figured that this may be something big. And then, we jumped in, and 10 years later, look where we are, right? We have the largest YouTube channel, podcast in the country. When it comes to the gig economy in general, more than 60 million people are participating in the gig economy, mostly in a part-time as a side hustle business. But we figured this may be something big, and between our blog and YouTube channel, and in combination with all other platforms, we've become, I guess, the experts on the subject.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, in case you aren't aware, this is the rideshare guy. I want you to go to rideshareguy.com. I mean, and we're talking about a guy who does a deep dive, and we're talking about Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, Instacart. He served as a senior contributor at the Rideshare Guy. He's written extensively, become a trusted voice in the space. One of the reasons we wanted to bring you on here is because we want our friends who are listening right now. So many people have found out who you are. So many people have kind of jumped on what you guys got cooking over there. We wanted our friends from our platform that we brought over with us over to YouTube to find out about you as well. Let me ask you this question and get right down to the nitty-gritty of it. There is so much to cover in the field that you're in. How do you keep it all straight? How are you able to do programming in a way that allows you the ability to jump all over the place and still achieve what I think you achieve, which is a coherence, that there actually is a strategy. There is a method to the kind of, not chaotic, but very, very crowded field that you are actually looking at right now. So how do you kind of, as your own self, look at what's going on and keep it filtered enough so that you can present it in a coherent fashion? Sergio, did that make any sense?
Yeah, you did, because what happened is that we started with the saying, "Don't work hard, work smart," right?
Mm-hmm.
And we took on the challenge of informing and educating the driver community. I mean, there's over 4.5 million people in the U.S. driving for Uber and Lyft, just those two. And we didn't go about just putting some sort of information out there, which a lot of YouTube channels do or blogs do. What we did is we went specifically into how we can make the driver more efficient, how we can help him earn more, because you're out there 40, 50 hours a week driving strangers in your car. How do you earn more, right? And then we just went for the incremental improvement. We said, okay, well, if you do these things and if you strategize a little bit, because these apps these days are full of machine learning and AI and algorithms, and just basically reverse engineer everything and then put it in front of the driver community in order for them to be more successful at what they're doing. And it worked. It really did. We basically focused on a certain task and get good at that task ourselves, and it worked.
I have been part of the gig economy in music since the mid-1960s, Sergio, and what that basically meant was you're in a band, you play in nightclubs, they pay you in cash. And that was the gig economy for musicians. But now, because what you're talking about wasn't possible 50 years ago, because we didn't have the mechanism to make it possible. We have the mechanism now to make it possible. So the gig economy, and I think maybe we need a better word than gig for some reason. I don't know why, but
I kind of like it.
Yeah,
I kind of dig it.
It sort of has
It
a
rhymes with
thing.
dig.
We like it. We like the gig.
You like the gig, yeah.
It's a gig. It's a gig. We can jump from gig to gig to gig, right?
True that.
Personally speaking,
Yeah.
I still drive myself, and I have 7 or 8 of those apps on my phone. So, and in the gig, and I do, and in the gig economy, we're all independent contractors, right? And I have a saying that goes a long way. I said, my time is for sale to the highest bidder. I fire up all my apps, and then I said, okay, who's going to send me the offers? Well, they're all sending me offers. One good thing these companies have done is they created this two-sided marketplace that everybody can take advantage of. You can do it for, 1 hour a day. You can do it for 12 hours a day, but it's your choice, and it gives you certain flexibility and freedom to jump between apps to be more efficient and to make as much money as you can while you're out there. And gig is a good word.
One of the
different gigs.
One of the things you pointed out in something that I read was the fact that in this, and we're talking about rideshare now. So in the rideshare gig economy, you can get fired by AI and that said to me, well, there are some vulnerabilities here that we may not realize. Are there some vulnerabilities that may have surprised you in terms of operating in the gig economy?
Yeah, it has changed quite a bit over the last decade. Initially, all these companies came to market with certain promises, and they had the VC money, venture capital money backing them. They literally put $35 billion on fire to create this amazing marketplace. But things have changed. Things have changed for the worse, for the driver, for the fact that earnings have been cut. Because the companies are now going for profitability as opposed to growth. And, first 7 years, especially after they went public, right? They have fiduciary responsibilities. They have shareholders. They have to be profitable now. The first 7-10 years of these companies was just growth at any cost. Grow the driver base, grow the user base, creates this massive scale that they have created. And now, last 3-4 years, they have gone after profitability. So, in order to be profitable, it doesn't, take as rocket scientists to figure that out. What they have to do is they have to charge as much as they can and pay as little as they can. And what they do is through machine learning and AI and algorithms, they do a great job at it. I mean, but again, that doesn't mean that you can't be successful. But I don't think you can make as much money as you did when they first started, because those days I call it subsidized Fantasyland. Basically,
Yeah.
they were burning
Yeah.
they were burning VC money, and then all the riders, all the passengers were used to going 10 miles for $10. Well, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense that you can operate a vehicle for 10 miles for $10 and be profitable. But what they did is they put out a lot of incentives for the riders and drivers to come to the platform. And one last thing about this gig world is that this is Uber and Lyft saying it. It's not my numbers. The average lifespan, not in the literal sense, but as long as the driver lasts on the platform, is about 8 months or less. So there is a massive turnover in the business, right? So people are going and people are showing up to do it again. And, what business can survive, right, if you have 80% turnover rate? And but I know you guys do a lot of, trucking news and things like that. And I'm very familiar with, by the way, my background is Wall Street. I was on Wall Street for 30-plus years as a derivatives and equities trader. So what I do is I have a very top-down look for this space. So not only I personally know the CEOs, I've interviewed the CEOs of all these companies, and I know a lot of people within the companies, but I'm also a driver, so I can talk to the CEOs with their own lingo, and then, all the way down the bottom of the totem pole, let's say, become a driver on the weekends and drive people around and deliver food, just to understand what both sides of the marketplace are going through. CEOs have a job to make the company profitable. Well, in order to do that, they have to cut driver pay. That's the only thing.
Sergio, we're out of time this morning, but promise me you'll come back for the long-form conversation that we have at the end of the show in a future episode, because we would love to dive deeper into these issues. Promise me? Please.
I would love to. I would love to.
Oh,
do
we would
that.
love
And,
to have you back.
One last word about that is autonomy is coming, folks, right? My community is very worried about autonomous vehicles, and I'm sure your community, trucking community, is worried about
a little
that.
bit. We share. A little bit. Sergio Avedian have joined us. By the way, SergioAvedian.com. That's AVEDIAN. He's the RideshareGuy.com. We got to take a quick break here. Glad to have you. A lot of great new guests here. Great job, Claire Marie and Dean Croak and Dan Ronan. A lot of these people come from that world. RadioNemo.com. YouTube. Facebook. Nemo Nation rolls along.
You know Sap Brothers will beat any competitor's advertised price on tires, so hold on to that fifth wheel, because when you buy 4 Salem S624 EFTs, the perfect line haul trailer tire, mounted at Sap Brothers, your price is an amazing $199.99, originally priced at $299.99, and prices are good through June 30, 2025, while supplies last. Save on 4 or more at Sap Brothers, and nobody's going to beat that price. Salem Tires, advanced compound technology for maximum mileage and rolling resistance without compromise. When you think tires, think Sap Brothers.
Pro drivers, say hello to your perfect fuel stop. Racetrack. Perfect as in hello, everything you need on the go. Oh, hi there, dedicated truck lanes. What's up, hot and delicious grab-and-go food? And hello, cat scales, clean restrooms, and large, easy-to-maneuver lots. Racetrack has what you want so you can get in, get out, and get back on the road, turning miles into money. Next time you need to stop, say hello to the fuel stop built for pro drivers. Racetrack, whatever gets you going.
Want to reduce emission systems maintenance costs? Max Mileage Fuel Catalyst is the answer. This advanced solution promotes a longer DPF lifespan and lets you enjoy fewer regenerations by reducing your soot output by 60%. That means less downtime and more time on the road. Keep your system clean and efficient so you can focus on what matters most, getting the job done. Make the smart choice for your vehicle. Head over to PittsburghPower.com to order yours today.
Oh, yep, it is The Road, the Rolling Live, right out of Fast Sports Studios with Dave, Nemo, and Jimmy Mack.
Hey guys, welcome back. A really quick comment about Sergio Avedian. The thing I call it, Dave, is the millennial subsidy is over. It's like a drug dealer, man. Oh yeah, Uber's cheap, Lyft is cheap, DoorDash is cheap. Now you're hooked into it. Now it's not cheap. Welcome to the party, pal. Speaking of welcoming people to the party, how about a little hashtag The Freight Coach? How about a little hashtag The Freight Coach podcast, thefreightcoach.com. If you go there, you'll find Chris Jolly. He's a passionate professional, extensive experience in leadership, multi-mode direct sales, freight management, business development, and proven growth in a highly competitive segment of the transportation industry. Thefreightcoach.com is where you should go, and we are pleased to welcome for his first appearance on Nemo Nation this amazingly rapid-fire show, Chris Jolly. Good morning to you. Do I got a Chris in the house? There you are, Chris. Good morning.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning,
good
Chris.
Morning.
Doing grand. How are you, and where are we talking to you from?
I'm doing well, live from Phoenix, Arizona this morning, locked in and ready to make some sales calls.
Oh, fantastic. Well, good morning. I'm glad we got on a call with you. This is Dave. Chris, I always look for something that kind of jump in that unites us in a way, and your dad was a driver. And you made mention of the fact, and something that I read about you, that your dad started off with paper log books. Well, here in the radio world, I started off with paper log books too. And there was page after page, and you had to write down everything. Well, you had to write down the time for everything, like 09, 03, 15, 3 minutes and 15 seconds after 9, and you'd write it all down and sign it all down, and everything was good. Pain in the butt, but it was good. Now we have the next gen, which is, everything's done for you, so to speak, with the logging softwares and all of that. And we're having there's a chasm between the old guys like me and the new guys like you who have been born on one side of the chasm, and we're trying to jump over. Don't know that we'll make it. What do you think? Is there a short list of reasons why you think that guys in my generation are just not picking up on what you guys are putting down? Does that make sense to you? And good morning.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Good morning as well. And it does, right? And I think it always just boils down to change. And when you're doing things for such a long time in a certain way and it's effective, you have a hard time grasping why you need to change your processes, right?
Yeah.
Now, and I say, like, most people, if they were operating inside of an ineffective system, they would be like, all right, we need to change things up. And I look at it as when I started in the industry, a lot of the digitization was not a thing. And now I view it as, there's, emerging technologies all the time. I view it as like, all right, how much more can I do in my day now with the right automation and streamlined systems? And, how does this help me run a more efficient business overall? So that's kind of my mindset with it. But I see both sides of the coin. Some of the stuff is annoying at times, but at the end of the day, it's, we got to do what we got to do to survive.
Chris, I want to pivot here because it's your first time on this show, and I hope it'll be the appearance of many more times on Nemo Nation. I want to get a chance for you to introduce what it is you do over at thefreightcoach.com. Dave and I got a chance to dig into a lot of the material and content over there with the podcast and all the other stuff you're working on. But just give the listeners, beyond just your experience of knowing what it's like to be the son of a trucker, your experience in the field and what it is you guys are cooking up over there.
Yeah, so I run a podcast on the transportation industry. We go live 5 days a week. We do 30-minute sets out there. And then I also own a freight brokerage. So I'm in the process of building a business inside of the transportation industry. I've been a broker my entire career. And it was one of those things that I do a lot of this because I just really wanted to. I enjoy people telling their stories. Probably why you guys like doing what you guys do on the radio.
Little bit.
As long as you guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I love hearing people's stories, but most importantly, I want to put best practices out there for people because, yes, there's conferences, there's trade shows, there's all this cool stuff, but not everybody can afford to shut their business down. And that was kind of a big driving force for me is I'm like, I think about the conversations I had with my old man and a lot of his friends that were drivers growing up is how much better could they have been in business if they had access to the right information? And with today's, with day and age, whether it's, radio or podcasting, we can interview some people that have built incredible companies, and they can lay out a step-by-step guide for people to follow where they can go out there and apply it to their business. And 5 years in to podcasting, that's my main driving force is how can we build a catalog of information for people inside of the transportation industry to come in, listen to it, see some value in it, apply it to their business, and go out there and achieve their goals.
I wanted to kind of tell you to kind of give an example of what Chris Jolly is talking about this morning, just to kind of show you how what you're doing is so important, especially doing it live. And we really want people to check out your blog and to check out your podcast, because all of this stuff is so crucial. Our good friends Ed Beachbum says good morning to you. Wanted to tell good morning to the whole road gang. And Bruce Almighty actually on YouTube is participating as well too. There's so many ways people can get connected. And you're right. Part of what you're doing is making sure that you can be in all the places where the guys and gals who are out on the road making their living can't be, but you can almost put them there and give them access to that information, because people, it's almost turning into NASCAR out there, where everybody actually is sharing best practices for safety reasons, because nobody wants to be in a hostile environment. So that it may be that we're moving towards a place where the competition is genuinely friendly, where people want to succeed because they know if anybody else fails spectacularly, it brings the whole industry down, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, right? And there's so many individuals out there that, I look at it as the entire industry is comprised of small business, right? No matter how you want to spin it, 90% of the businesses inside of logistics and transportation are what's considered small business. Why aren't we highlighting them? Again, this is nothing against the larger publicly traded companies that are in the space, but like what they're doing is vastly different than what a lot of us should be doing inside of our businesses, right? So it's like, how do we talk to that family company that's, third generation at this point? What have they done to sustain out there? They built a 100 truck or a 50 truck operation, and maybe that's somebody's goal out there that might be an owner op or 2 truck, 3 truck operation. They want to get to 50, and that's as big as they want to go. So why don't we talk to those individuals and put that information out there to help them kind of build up? How do they finance properly? Choosing the right finance partner, the right insurance partner to get the best strategy in place so they can go from 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, and so on,
Absolutely. And Chris, before we actually, and I told you this goes by so fast, man. We do this so rapid fire fast. But I wanted to ask you a really simple question. It's going to seem almost like just basic stuff. When people who don't know the transportation industry ask you what you do as a broker, how do you answer them?
Oof. I always try and make it use a very simple example of like, we pick up, Coca-Cola order, they need a truckload brought from Phoenix, Arizona to Los Angeles. And then we go in there and we find the capacity to pick that up and deliver that for them. But I also look at it now, as long as I've been doing this, is like we play a part in building this country. We play a part in when that family who's been saving up for the majority of their life to build their dream home, we're delivering that truckload of shingles out there to that job site. And we're helping connect this nation. And that's one thing that I really like to get out there across the messages is if you're a transportation professional, you're the backbone of this economy. This world does not move without the individuals like myself and others who execute day in and day out inside of logistics. And it's all built off of the drivers who are out there on the road day in and day out, spending time away like my old man did, missing events and making sure that those goods are there, safe and on time.
Chris, promise Dave and I that you'll come back really soon and let us know what's going on next. Really quickly, what is the next podcast people can look forward to from you?
It's going to be released here this morning. A good friend of mine, Garrett Bowers of Bowers Trucking out of Oklahoma, talks about a pivot that they've made recently in their business. It's going to be out on iTunes and Spotify here any minute now. And again, we go live every single weekday at 10:30 Central on LinkedIn and YouTube. And then the audio only replay, the Freight Coach podcast, is on iTunes and Spotify by about 2 o'clock Pacific every day.
Here's the golden rule at Nemo Nation. If you guys want to go out and check that out as it kind of gets going, actually go over there and enjoy it. You can always check out our content later when we download it. Hey, guys, go to thefreightcoach.com. Chris, go have a great broadcast. Go have a great time.
I just subscribed.
Yeah, we both did. There you go, man. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Guys, Nemo Nation continues here. Don't forget to go to truckdown.com where they can actually make you hook up with a provider to get you back on the road. 50 states, 8 provinces, doing it since 1997. Truckdown.com. We pivot once again here on Nemo Nation. Raman Singh Dhillon, CEO of North American Punjabi Trucking Association, founder and CEO of Punjabi Trucking Magazine and Punjabi Trucking 360 podcast. Absolutely honored to have you here. Good morning to you. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Dave. Happy to be over here.
Good morning. It's great to have you with us on the program, Raman. And where are you right now? Are you in California at the moment?
Yes, I am in Lathrop, California, right next to Bay Area, Stockton.
And, of course, you established the NAPTA, NAPTA, not NAFTA, but NAPTA, the North American,
Yeah, exactly.
The North American Punjabi Trucking Association. Why did you start the organization?
Well, we started the organization. The main reason was the education and support to the Punjabi truckers because there were some of the issues between the language barrier, and that was the main cause that there was a gap between the authorities or agencies and the Punjabi community. It's always easier to understand when we talk in our native language. So that's the main reason to come into the business.
You know, it's funny. We just had Chris Jolly on, Sergio Avadian, Jamie Jones, and we go before we have someone on the show. We go and check them out and see, what they look like and what they sound like, and maybe get some insight into what we can talk about. And all of your YouTube videos are in Punjabi. I couldn't make heads or tails.
Yep, that's me. But it was amazing trip in this lane that before you drive and then you come into this part of the world, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, you can go to PunjabiTrucking360.com. You can find them on Facebook at Punjabi Trucking Magazine. And then, of course, go napta.org is where you can find it. Let me ask you a question. As the organization has grown, what do you think the contribution of the community has been to overall the health of trucking in the country, in the sense of like the idea that as you guys organize and as you figure out a way to kind of platform these voices, how has that helped the overall transportation industry while at the same time strengthening your own organization? And did that question make sense, Raman?
Yes, absolutely. And to be precisely truthful on this, that our Punjabi trucking industry is built on hard work. I mean, we have people that came to this industry are working really hard. And one time there was a quote, when we were with the administration that, in the normal trucking industry, in the general or mainstream trucking industry, the turnout rate is like almost like 70, 80, 90%. But in our community, the Punjabi trucking industry, when the people come to the trucking industry, they join trucking industry, the retention rate is almost 90% plus. So that means that, people we bring in stays in after first year. So that is one big thing that I think I've been looking at it. I'm in trucking industry since 1996. I was doing trucking back in India. My dad did trucking. He's driving since he was 16, and he's 90 years old right now. So been in this country, especially the Punjabi truckers, they are working hard in the industry, and they are working really strong.
Raman, the largest English-speaking country in the world, and you know exactly what the answer is, the largest English-speaking country in the world is India. So
yes.
I'm going to ask you a question that may be a little bristly, but it's what's up now in the world, and the English proficiency out of service criteria from the CVSA issue has resurfaced again. What's your take on that?
My take on that is that English is the basic requirement for the job. It's not that something that it's optional. It's a basic requirement. It's a safety issue. It shouldn't be overlooked or shouldn't be let go. So my thing is that yes, definitely this is essential and vital part, and it's very safety sensitive part, and it shouldn't be let out. And I think English should be the basic thing. But sometimes we see that taking this specific thing in consideration, and then there's kind of like a backlash or maybe a discrimination part of it, or those kind of part of it done just because of my color. They think that I might not know English, so just pull me over. Those kind of things scares me, but definitely English should. That's a basic requirement. That there's no question about it.
We have a very short amount of time. We certainly hope you'll come back. This is sort of just an introductory conversation here, but I did want to ask you something that I ask all of the state trucking associations who are part of the ATA. What makes up the membership? And most of them say, well, we've got in the bigger states, we've got fleets from 10,000 trucks down to a lawn care guy. What is the general composition of the Punjabi Trucking Association, North American Punjabi Trucking Association?
We got from one truck to all the way to 1,400 trucks, 1,500 trucks company. So we are about 2,500 members. That's basically, we started with 6 companies.
I wanted to also have the other follow-up, the other trucking association question we asked, because you guys are pretty vast as well too. What is the biggest pressing thing on the mind of most of your members? What are they talking to you about right now in regards to what their struggles are and what they're looking for?
The biggest struggles right now in the trucking industry, and especially in our community, is the theft. The theft of the cargo, and then these especially state DMVs are issuing licenses to people that they are not fully qualified, and there are schools who are letting these people get into the system where they shouldn't be, and they're not following the CDLT rule that they should be following all those rules. So these are the main general points, but cargo theft is the main.
Giving us a lot of stuff to talk about in future appearances here, that's for sure.
Please promise us you'll come back, Raman Singh Dillon. Please promise us you'll come back and make time for us again.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime you want me to come on, I'll be available for you guys.
Thank you so much. And by the way, Dave, it's such a good point that Raman makes. And guys, by the way, go to PunjabiTrucking360.com. Go to gonapta.org. Would love to get him back and just talk about the theft issue and how it's directly impacting his members. Mm-hmm. And by the way, guys, all of you out there listening to Nemo Nation, I wanted you to hear what he had to say. It's a basic requirement on the English-speaking thing, no question about that. We're just thrilled to have him. Hopefully get him back sometime. By the way, we keep on rolling along.
We do indeed.
We keep on rolling along, man. NACFE.
Right now we're going to run on less.
Yeah, I mean, who we got? We got Mike, right? Mike is back. Mike Roth is back.
The man who's stuck in the messy middle with all the rest of us.
Hey, Mike.
Rafe.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Mike Rafe.
Hello,
good morning.
Guys.
Yeah.
It's the hot messy middle for us right now. I'm calling you from a Schneider terminal in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh.
We're getting ready to do another one of these site visits with a international truck with an international engine, and this truck runs almost an awful lot on renewable diesel because it's availability out here in California. And so, gosh, I can't keep track. I don't know what number this is, but I think this is getting like visit 9 of 13, or with the Windrose battery electric semi at Joyride Logistics tomorrow here in Phoenix. So starting early so we can beat this heat as much as possible, guys.
Renewable diesel, you said those 2 words, and every time somebody says that, Mike, it kind of pops into my head because it seems like the most overlooked asset that we have.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it's there's a lot of confusion. You have biodiesel, which if you get over about 20%, that's challenging from, cold weather gelling to some other issues. And then renewable diesel, though, is by definition a complete drop-in fuel to petro-conventional diesel. So it is a really good solution, Dave. There are very significant, what they call feedstock limitations. So, as we've worked with all the experts out there that we can find, we think that, renewable diesel and biodiesel long-term could satisfy somewhere around 8% of United States heavy trucking's fuel needs. So it's not and right now it's like a tenth of 1%. So, so it could be a big part of the solution, but we just have to be careful we don't think about it as the only one, because first of all, there are some emissions that occur, NOx emissions and so forth. You got a carbon-free fuel in renewable diesel, but you still have other implications, and also, there's just not enough of the feedstocks, and also the same feedstocks or inputs to renewable diesel are the same for sustainable airline fuels, and also the fuel for locomotives and airlines and ships. So trucking is viewed as maybe an end use of these fuels that could do other things like natural gas or batteries or whatever. And so it's going to be a fight for these fuels, and I'm not sure trucking is going to get as much as many think. But having said that, 8% is still a lot. I mean, 8% of 40 billion gallons is a lot.
I think there's a mindset out there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a general mindset in the transportation world that says, okay, we have all of these alternative fuels, maybe a bad term too, by the way, at this point. We have all of these alternative fuels, and as we go along through the decades, there's going to be one winner and one fuel, just like now. That's not going to happen, is it? In other words, there's no one entity that can solve all of our problems.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why diesel's been our fuel for trucking for 80 years, and that's because you can buy a $1,000 fuel tank or set of fuel tanks. You can put liquid diesel fuel in and go haul freight, and you're done. And now we're looking at, storage systems, whether it's natural gas or batteries are the most expensive storage systems in any of these. Well, hydrogen, not cheap either, but, the diesel's been very forgiving and good, and that's why it was the only solution. And so you're absolutely right. I mean, we as an industry are going to have to figure out how to deal with the complexity of these multiple alternatives. And, my big takeaway from ACT Expo in May was that, the truck builders are going to struggle each to offer all the alternatives. I think we'll end up with, if you got like here in Run on Less, we've got 4 major, we've got diesel, we've got natural gas, battery electric, and hydrogen. Hybrids are another one. So if you got like 5 significant categories of solutions, and each of the truck builders, each one's going to have to figure out, do I do all 5? And that could be difficult to design and manufacture, or do I do 2 or 3? And so that's one of the big questions going forward.
It's an issue of pre-trip planning in many ways, that a lot of companies have to kind of look at their long-term plans. They really have to kind of figure out where it is they're headed, and then look at the rest of the industry and who's succeeding with certain kinds of energy and who's failing with other kinds of energy, and to figure out if, in fact, that the specific jobs, because trucking ain't one industry. It's about 13 or 14 of them, probably more than that. But at some point, you have to begin kind of looking at what other people are doing and begin to make your plans about what kind of fuel, 1 or 2, that you're going to settle on to drive the majority of what it is you want to get accomplished. Is that fair?
And the way I think about this is we've been working on this for decades. We're built for this challenge. So what I mean by that is we now have telematics, so we know where all the trucks, each individual truck, we know where they're going, how far they're going, how fast they're driving, where they're resting, are they slip-seated and teamed or not, just on and on and on. So we have that. Secondly, we've been working on sort of this specialization and optimizing even like for long haul aerodynamics rather than city tractors. So we've been working on specialized configurations of different truck models. And so all of that now, my point is that a couple of decades ago, we may have looked at this as an unsolvable problem. We at NACFE view that this is solvable. We just need to look at each detailed truck, each detailed fleet, and figure out the right solution. And when we do that, we'll come out of this strong.
Mike, it's always a pleasure having you on. We're going to have to wrap up here. What are you looking forward to next week? What's coming up for you next?
Well, this week is 4 different of the 13. So we've got Henry Albert's in Detroit. Where we've got a video crew there, and talking to him about how he does. He does double-digit fuel economy even when he's heavy. So he does 10 mile per gallon when he's heavy. He drives fast-ish too. Some of these hyper MPGers get criticized for going so slow. Henry doesn't go that slow. But yeah, we've got Schneider today, Joyride tomorrow with a battery electric truck that's like, I can't wait to get in it. I'm going to drive it tomorrow. It's a really interesting vehicle doing long haul distances. It actually has a sleeper cab, so it's not what I would call an American sleeper cab, but it's definitely a comfortable place to sleep. And then lastly, we've got a Penske in Texas. Will be there Thursday with a hydrogen fuel cell truck hauling Hyundai auto parts to dealerships around Texas. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to all of them. I mean, it's drinking from the fire hose, but, we'll do something like 50 interviews this week at those 4 sites. And these are the people that are making this stuff happen, guys. This is not like, I heard from so-and-so and heard from so-and-so and heard from. These are the drivers, the people who are making the fueling work, all that. So, and then we'll be sharing all this in August with videos and web pages and all kinds of stuff. So we're having a blast here. Hard work, but looking forward to sharing it with everybody.
Mike, we have a running bet here, and I'm going to win this thing for sure. Tara and I are going to win it. Say your last name for us.
It's actually Roth, like taking an oath.
Yep, I win. Tara wins. I win. Mike Roth joined us this morning.
Dave.
That's okay. I by the way, I win, Mike. I win. I so rarely win. You gave me a victory. I appreciate it. NACFE.org, by the way. Thank you so much, my friend.
Take care. I'll talk to you next week.
We'll take a quick break here, come back on the other side. We'll be talking with our friends next week here. By the way, that's the end of the trip. We had the pre-trip. That was the trip, and the post-trip is coming up here on the other side. And then we'll have Pittsburgh Power for a full hour after that, guys. Hey, guys, go to RadioNemo.com. We'll fill you in more in a second.
Prepare for over-the-top flavor with a limited-time lineup of ginormous sandwiches. Try the chicken parm stack, breaded chicken fillets on garlic bread with red sauce and mozzarella. Or the big country combo, country fried steaks with mashed potatoes, gravy, and fried eggs on Texas toast. Craving a burger or grilled cheese? Well, the ultimate smash melt delivers both with smashed patties, cheese, and bacon between grilled cheese buns.
Available for dine-in only at participating Country Pride and Orange Skillet restaurants inside TA or Petro Travel Centers.
Pro drivers, say hello to your perfect fuel stop. Racetrack. Perfect as in hello, everything you need on the go. Oh, hi there, dedicated truck lanes. What's up, hot and delicious grab-and-go food? And hello, cat scales, clean restrooms, and large, easy-to-maneuver lots. Racetrack has what you want so you can get in, get out, and get back on the road, turning miles into money. Next time you need to stop, say hello to the fuel stop built for pro drivers. Racetrack, whatever gets you going.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
This is Nemo Nation, and you're riding shotgun once again with Dave Nemo and Jimmy Mack, live from the Fastport Studios.
Hey, by the way, big thanks to our friends over at Fastport. Speaking of Fastport, our friend Brad Bentley told us hello from Copenhagen on the Tube of You. Big thanks, big shout out to Brad as always, and our friends at Fastport. Go to fastport.com or go to nationalapprenticeship.com. work.org, where you can find out more information about those folks who have been finding workplace solutions for quite some time and taking care of folks like us on the other side. Hey, by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, there's a method to our madness. The first hour of this show, I've started to call the pre-trip, where we kind of clear our throats and have a little bit of fun and games, as Dave likes to say. We take calls, Tara drops in, catches us up on the week that was, and you guys get a chance to say what's on your mind. Then we have the trip itself, which was the last 2 hours. Rapid fire, by the way, 10 guests. We had 10 guests over a 2-hour period. 3 in the first half hour, 2 in the second. This half hour, by the way, of Nemo Nation is the pre-trip before Pittsburgh Power arrives on the scene. We'll take the semi into the shop for maintenance at the end of the show. This is a longer form conversation where we turn it over to our good friend Dave Nemo. We got a great guest on this morning for a very topical reason, and a person that you got a chance to meet before, right, Dave?
Yes, right here in New Orleans, too, at CVSA's meeting. I forget how long ago it was. Adrian Gilday, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me back on.
Oh, well, thanks for coming back on. How long ago was the CVSA conference that we were at?
Almost 2 months ago. It was
Wow.
the last week of April going into the first week of May.
It seems like a couple of weeks. Man, I'll tell you what, time is flying, but it was really great to meet you then. And we only had a few minutes to talk. And if you remember at the time, everybody was heading into that big ballroom to get the latest on the English proficiency redo, I guess you might say, in terms of putting it back into the out-of-service thing. I thought we'd touch on that, not dwell, but touch on that here a little bit this morning, Adrian. But also, you guys are taking a look at personal conveyance, and some of the numbers coming out of that are pretty significant, so I thought we'd talk through that. But as sort of maybe just a touch of an introduction into the English-speaking thing, Ramon Dillon was just on with us. He heads up the North American Punjabi Trucking Association. And I was kidding around with him. I said, I went to look at some of your YouTube videos and podcasts, and I said, they were all in Punjabi. I couldn't understand a word, and we were laughing about that. But I asked him, I said, this may be kind of a prickly question, but how are you guys handling the English thing? And he just flat out said, look, English is the requirement. It makes sense. It's the safest thing. No questions asked. Is that pretty much the consensus from folks that you are talking to who don't have English, say, as a native language? Or is there a lot of pushback?
I wouldn't say pushback. There's been a lot of questions and inquiries about what the standard is going to look like, how are drivers expected to meet it, and folks trying to prepare themselves to make sure that they are meeting the standard. Most folks believe that their drivers do and are confident that it will be fine, but in the occasions where something a driver does get put out of service or something like that, motor carriers are also very interested in what they need to do to make sure that they can get their driver back into compliance before they send them back out of the road. So I wouldn't say pushback, but there's just been, because the violation will now come with an out-of-service order, there's a lot of interest in making sure everybody's got their, I's dotted and T's crossed before the order goes into effect on the 25th.
Got it. And we've all dwelled on this for a while, but everybody always needs repetition. I sure do. So the rule is not a new rule. It's just a recircling to the original rule in the first place, which says that if you cannot sufficiently converse with the law enforcement or the motoring public in English, if you don't understand road signs, and if you're going to be put out of service. And that was happening. And then CVSA said, you know what? In a sense, I'm going to say this is going to sound silly. Well, if he got that truck in here for the inspection, he can probably drive and he knows when to stop. So what's the problem? And there are a lot of folks, even in some friends who used to be with FMCSA, say, that whole English thing was never really that big of a deal in the first place. I don't want to ask for a personal opinion. No, that would be unfair, Adrian, but are we okay on this? Can we move on from this, or is this going to be, it's going to be festering for a while? Do you think?
Well, hopeful that it won't fester. As you mentioned, the English language proficiency requirement has been in the out of service criteria. It was removed. It is now going back in officially as of the 25th, later this week.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point earlier, it's always been a regulation. Drivers are always been expected to comply with the requirements in 391.11b2 that says they can speak English language, to converse with the public, understand traffic signs, signals, respond to official inquiries. So it's not a new requirement. And at the end of the day, the president issued an executive order directing FMCSA to work with CVSA to get this back in the out of service criteria. And so that is what the Alliance, working with the agency, has done. And, hopefully, and again, as I mentioned before, most motor carriers that I've talked to, feel pretty confident that their drivers are going to be in compliance. They just want to make sure that they know exactly what that means and what to do when they do run into an issue. So hopefully drivers, for the most part, have been meeting this requirement already, and it won't be that major of an impact once the out-of-service condition goes into effect.
When this became the talk of the town a couple of months ago, we got a lot of calls from a lot of drivers who have driven in other parts of the world, a lot of it attached to military service and things. And the guys, and Jimmy, you know this, you've talked to several of the guys who got licenses over in Germany, and they said, "Man, getting a license in Germany is like
even as a even to drive in their military capacity.
Yeah.
Even before we get to like them having to be able to have the equivalent of a CDL in Germany, the number of veterans who called and said, "Hey, man." The test we had to pass to simply drive in Germany was extensive. So, I mean, this is not
400 traffic signs.
Yeah, this is not anything that is the rest of the world gets this. This is not a situation here that is different from any place else. And it's and them's the rules. And the president, by the way, I'm not always in agreement with executive orders, but this is a place where FMCSA falls under the executive branch, and he can give that order, can he not? Correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he directed the agency to rescind their previous guidance on this topic and issue new guidance, which they have done, and they directed the agency to work with the organization that handles the out-of-service criteria. That's us. And so, absolutely, they're part of the administration, and they work for the president, and they've, I think, done a great job of responding really quickly to the executive order, which, by the way, had a 60-day turnaround time, which is pretty fast when you're talking federal government time.
It's kind of amazing. It's up there with the I don't know if you guys know about the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. This has been one of the fastest things I've ever seen the federal government do in my life, and I've been around a little bit, by the way. But Dave, you want to pivot, don't you? You want to pivot to the...
I do, and we're going to pivot into something else, which is going to be the thrust of our conversation here, Adrian. But one thing I do want to just kind of lay out there is the nuts and bolts of it. It's my understanding that there is a two-part test. The first part is a conversational test, if you will. If you pass that, then you move on to the road sign portion. If you don't pass the conversational step one, then you're put out of service there. And if you don't pass the signs, then you're put out of service. Is that pretty much the nuts and bolts of it? Adrian?
Yes, sir. That is exactly right. You laid it out exactly right.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll leave that to rest for a while. Let us move on to now. We had Jamie Jones on from Landline OOID a little bit earlier, and I pointed out one of the points of the CVSA's petition to FMCSA about personal conveyance. And I'm just going to read this. Owner-operators cannot use personal conveyance to return home or leave home. As you can well imagine, that is not going over well with a lot of folks. So I guess the what's up with that question is going to ensue there. But one of the things that would basically gave you guys the impetus to do this, and I'm reading some numbers here. It all boils down to numbers, does it not, all the time. Over 41,000 roadside inspections. CVSA figures that about 38% of drivers use conveyance time, personal conveyance, improperly. Those numbers are big enough to kind of do something about it. So you guys are putting the spotlight back on that rotating spotlight like a lighthouse. It's back on personal conveyance now, which has always been so nebulous because it's never been a rule or a regulation or a law. It's always been guidance. And guidance, whoo, that is a hornet's nest, isn't it?
Yeah, so you two things I want to respond to there. First, the owner-operator piece. I want to just clarify, because I can understand why that would not sit well with that driving population, and I totally get it. Our petition asks for specific written guidance from FMCSA on owner-operators not being able to use PC to return home or leave work. That is because informally, we have received that guidance from FMCSA, and the inspector community has emails and things like that tells us, because we've asked, hey, how do we treat this for an owner-operator versus a driver who's working for a motor carrier? And the response we got, like informally, is no, the owner-operator's home is their principal place of business, so they can't use PC that way. And we're simply asking for FMCSA to then make that informal guidance that we have received official. We're not necessarily saying we agree or disagree with it. It's what we've been told. And so we need the agency to provide that guidance to us officially so that folks know that is the official guidance on the topic, and then perhaps can respond and provide their input on what they think about that. On the data side, yeah, absolutely. You captured it all perfectly there. The only thing I'd add is that those 39% of the drivers that are using personal conveyance improperly, we sent our data out for data analysis, and what we learned from that data analysis is that 39% of drivers using it improperly, the motor carriers who they drive for are 4 times more likely to be involved in a crash. So obviously we're not able, as a private organization, we don't have access to the driver data, so we can't drill down that far into the information. But what we can determine is that motor carriers whose drivers use PC incorrectly are 4 times more likely to be involved in a crash, and we think there's an obvious safety connection there that needs to be addressed. And
Jimmy Mack is here, and he does have a question for you, Adrian, but I kind of want to pull something out in terms of what you just said. Driver information, driver records. Are you going to get some of that stuff, or is that verboten?
No, we don't have access to driver data,
okay.
And obviously shouldn't. It's personal.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to get that out there. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, for sure.
What I wanted to ask you about is more of a kind of a clarification. So if I'm hearing you correctly, this is as much about the companies that are employing these owner-operators and these independent drivers and less about the independent drivers abusing it and trying to figure out, and like I said, I don't know the answer. I'm not asking a question that I think I know the answer to. Is this about figuring out which companies that are bringing on owner-operators and independent drivers and figuring out if they're abusing these drivers by asking for personal conveyance? Is there something going on beyond just the men and women who are driving that you're looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty widespread problem, and I don't want to give the impression that it is restricted just to owner-operators and independent drivers either. This is across the board, all drivers, not just those working as owner-operators. We didn't drill down and kind of separate them out. And we have heard anecdotally instances where drivers are being told by, whomever they're working with on their load, hey, I'm running out of hours. That's fine. Switch into PC and go the next hour and a half, 2 hours, 150 miles, whatever it is you need to do. So we do know that there are instances where drivers are being instructed to use personal conveyance improperly to finish a load, and that's obviously a burden on drivers that is not appropriate. And then we know other drivers are using it inappropriately of their own volition on their own time, and sometimes people are just getting it wrong. And so, in addition to the caps, our petition has a number of clarifications we're asking for to help drivers and motor carriers and enforcement better understand what qualifies as personal conveyance under what scenarios, that we can all understand the regulation better and apply it more appropriately.
We have rules and regulations on everything but personal conveyance. It's guidance, and it's very confusing, and there's enough people doing it wrong to where it's become an issue, a real issue now. Is personal conveyance something that is just impossible to nail down into a rule because everybody is different? And do you just go so far in the weeds if you try to codify it to that degree? I don't even know how to ask that question. You can tell that
You just asked it.
Yeah,
You just asked
okay.
it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't think so at all. I think that we can do, we don't need to let the perfect get in the way of the good. I think that there's a lot of clarification that can be done on the term personal conveyance and what it means to get us maybe not 100% of the way there, but maybe 95% of the way there. Define yard move, for example. What does enhancing operational readiness mean? Clarify the thing about owner-operators. A lot of people confuse personal conveyance, and let's call that personal conveyance with capital letters, with personal use of a CMV. A lot of times we talk to folks who, hey, if you cap personal conveyance, I can't use my truck on the weekend to drive to see my relatives or to go to this event or anything like that. And, but there's additional clarification needed there too, because if you're not in commerce, right? If you're not headed to pick up a load, coming back from a load, or, dropping out, if you're not in commerce and you're using your truck just for personal reasons, the same way I use my Mazda, then you're not actually in personal conveyance either. You're in personal use, and that's different. And so there's a lot of clarification that needs to be done, in addition to our request that it be capped. We are absolutely asking for that because we believe it's appropriate. But there's a lot of clarification needed regardless of how you feel about capping it, so that folks better understand. Like you mentioned, in our data shows, almost 40% of the time the drivers are using it improperly. There's something wrong there when a regulation is gotten wrong 40% of the time.
Go ahead, Jim.
I'm going to ask you an absolutely unfair question, so buckle up. I mean, you are the Deputy Executive Director of the CVSA, but this might not be fair. What does that education process look like? What does that public service announcement look like? How do we get people better educated on this? What can CVSA do to make sure that the industry understands in a more clear fashion what personal conveyance actually means?
That is absolutely a fair question. I don't mind it at all. I think step one, we need more clarity from the regulators so that we, as the enforcement community and our colleagues in the motor carrier industry, like folks at American Trucking Associations, OOIDA, Tank Truck Carriers, all of those other associations, once we all understand what it means and can effectively define it, then we can do that education. Again, it's everything from webinars to coming on shows like this and talking about it, making folks out there aware of it, ATA reaching out to their members, OOIDA reaching out to theirs. And then on the roadside, inspectors often view an inspection as an opportunity to kind of take a moment and explain to the driver, hey, this is why this is wrong. If you're interested, I can explain it to you. And if the inspectors feel confident and that they understand what is and what is not personal conveyance, then, on a very granular level down there on the roadside, when they're talking to a driver and they're explaining, hey, here's why I'm writing this violation, they can do that education there too. So there's a lot of different ways to push out the information once we all have it and understand it. And so again, going back to the petition, that's step one. We want to ask the agency to provide this clarity so that we can then apply it and inform the folks out there on the roads of what we've learned from the agency.
I'm going to ask, once again, another question that really kind of gets down to basic simplicity. And Adrian Gilday joins us this morning, CVSA's Deputy Executive Director. Just for the sake of clarity, there's so much alphabet soup out there, and lots of people know who you are. But can you kind of explain at its basic core? I always ask this question. If somebody asked you at a party, what is it you do? How do you respond to that question?
Yeah, great. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, so CVSA, we're a nonprofit organization. We represent the truck and bus inspectors in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, and our industry partners who are interested in truck and bus safety. We view ourselves as a forum to bring together the enforcement community, the regulators, and the regulated community, the motor carriers, and everybody else in that space, to discuss commercial motor vehicle safety issues and trends and concerns, and hopefully work together effectively to come up with recommended solutions, whether it's changes to the out-of-service criteria, changes to an inspection procedure, petitions to the agency, letters to Congress, whatever it is. We very much view ourselves as a forum bringing together all of these portions of the industry that are interested in advancing commercial motor vehicle safety and reducing crashes, and then we provide that forum for the discussion.
Having worked in law enforcement myself, I will tell you that one of the great benefits of an organization like yours is I can't tell you the number of times somebody said, "What are we doing here?" The number of times that there's always been something kind of hazy or fuzzy about a particular piece of enforcement. And so what you guys really are trying to do is not come up with new rules and new laws and all that kind of stuff. It seems like the core of what CVSA is always looking for is give us clarity so we can make sure that when people cross state lines, they get the same fair shake in one place as they do in another. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly right. I mean, we were formed back in the 80s by a coalition of industry and jurisdictions who are like, hey, we've all got to get on the same page. Commerce is international. We crosses state lines, it crosses international lines, and the motor carrier community has a right to expect consistent, uniform enforcement of the regulations. So somebody needs to kind of step up and coordinate that, and that's what we do. And it's not about always making new regulations or more rules. Like every rule that a motor carrier or driver has to comply with, an enforcement officer has to understand in order to apply it. So we would like to look to be, as simple and as straightforward as possible as well, because we have to apply the regulations. So sometimes it's not about new regulations. Sometimes, like you said, it's about clarifying the regulations, getting rid of outdated regulations, getting rid of regulations that don't make sense. I think FMCSA recently published a whole slew of deregulatory actions, and 3 of them are in response to petitions from CVSA asking the agency to do things like remove the rear impact guard labeling requirement that is virtually impossible for industry to comply with. Once the label's gone, it's gone, and you can't get a new one, so let's adjust that regulation. So it very much is about troubleshooting the industry, finding issues that we can address together, and making improvements to the regulations so that those who have to comply with them can understand them, and those who have to enforce them can do so consistently.
Adrienne Gilday is with us. She is the
Executive Director.
The number 2 person.
Deputy Executive Director.
Deputy Executive Director at CVSA. Had a chance to meet Adrienne and some other wonderful people for a whirlwind 2 days here in New Orleans at the Hilton down on the riverfront at the foot of Canal Street at the entrance to the French Quarter for the annual meeting here a couple of months ago. So, Adrienne, I would imagine that all of the media folks that you're talking to this week are going to point to April 22nd, Tuesday, for Brake Safety Day. The numbers just came out. The headline reads, CVSA places almost 400 vehicles out of service for Brake Safety Day, and that should scare everybody right off the road.
Except that 91% actually passed the test with flying colors, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when you find it out that it's 8.7%, but still 8% of trucks out there on the road with brake safety violations is way too many trucks. We all know that. But the saving grace is the out-of-service rate is down almost 3% from the last 2 years of Brake Safety Day results. So, Adrienne, that's good. This is that one day of the year with the CVSA announces everything well in advance so people can pass. It's like giving out the questions to the test before the test. We talked about that a couple of months ago here in town. But this is the surprise inspection, the one-day thing. What is the general consensus among you guys at CVSA on this year's results?
Well, we're really encouraged by the results. These are, like you said, we announce most of them. We do this unannounced ones to kind of do a temperature check, a spot check on how things are looking. And to your point, numbers, the number of brake violations, critical brake violations out there, from year to year has dropped, and we are encouraged by that. We hope it means that, drivers and motor carriers are paying closer attention to their brake components and their brake systems and making sure that they are maintaining them. We're really encouraged by it. We hope that trend continues because, obviously, all of the components of our truck are important, and we want to make sure we're maintaining everything the way that we're supposed to be, because they all fit together to make the vehicle safe. But brakes are particularly important, which is why we have a brake safety week and a brake safety day, is because we all recognize the absolutely critical role that well-maintained brakes play in safety. And so, like I said, overall, very encouraged with the reducing numbers, but obviously 8.7% is still a lot, and we want to continue to see that number drive down.
I want to circle back just very briefly here, because we only have a brief amount of time left, Adrian. But okay, so you've sent the actual petition. The news came out about the fact that you were going to do the petition well in advance of the actual petition being made, which was pretty cool. So we all got a lot of a pre-warning, if you want to call it a warning, on the out of service thing. On the personal conveyance thing. So what are we going to do now? Go into the 2-3 month thing, and then it's going to be 2 years before this is solved. You know what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I have a confession to make. I haven't actually submitted the petition yet.
Oh, I thought you had done that last week. Okay.
No, it's not quite done. You know, we have been very busy, as I'm sure you can imagine, preparing for the implementation of the out-of-service condition with English language proficiency. Yeah. We've been diligently trying to get all of our ducks in a row for that. And so I have the outline of the petition, and I do hope to submit it by, sometime in the next couple of weeks. And then, we'll wait for the agencies to respond. And then, as you said, we wait for the federal process to take place. We're hopeful that we've made a strong enough case, or we will be making a strong enough case in this petition to make the safety case that something needs to be done. And like I said, before when we were talking about it, we are asking for a number of things. We are asking for a 2-hour cap to align it with adverse driving limit time and things like that. But regardless of how folks feel about the cap request, and I know there's a lot of different opinions on that, I think that we can all agree that some of the clarifications that are listed, that will be listed in the petition, absolutely need to be addressed, regardless of, the cap itself. Because, again, almost 40% of the time drivers are using it incorrectly, and there's a problem there. And people are confused by what it means and when it is and it's not appropriate to use personal conveyance. And I think we have a responsibility to the motor carrier industry to provide them with clear regulations that are that they're able to comply with.
Indeed. Adrian, thank you so much. Before we turn it back over to Jimmy Mack, I just want to say a special good morning to someone who I think might be listening, Nicole Leandro. I want to thank Nicole for putting everything together, and it was delightful working with her here in New Orleans at the convention.
Hey, go to cvsa.org. You can find them on the X, formerly known as Twitter, at CVSA, and of course on the Book of Face and the LinkedIn at the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance. Our fellow lover of New Orleans. There's no other way to describe her, because after all, she spent her time at Tulane. Adrian Gilday has joined us this morning, CVSA's Deputy Executive Director. Adrian, thank you, and you're welcome back anytime.
Anytime.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'd be delighted to come back. Just reach out to Nicole, and I'll say hi to Nicole too. Hi, Nicole.
RadioNemo.com. Guys, go to the Book of Face. Go to the Tube of You. Go everywhere that you need to be. We will talk at you on the other side of this break here. Nemo Nation continues. Hashtag Nemo Nation. Hashtag RGR. We'll be right back after this.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
The mission of Wreaths Across America is unwavering, remembering our fallen heroes, honoring those who are currently serving, along with their families, and most importantly, teaching the next generation about the value of freedom. And you can join our mission with a $17 donation that sponsors a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. Each wreath will be laid in honor of a veteran who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. To sponsor your wreath, please visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Pro drivers, say hello to your perfect fuel stop, Racetrack. Perfect as in hello, everything you need on the go. Oh, hi there, dedicated truck lanes. What's up, hot and delicious grab-and-go food? And hello, cat scales, clean restrooms, and large, easy-to-maneuver lots. Racetrack has what you want so you can get in, get out, and get back on the road, turning miles into money. Next time you need to stop, say hello to the fuel stop built for pro drivers. Racetrack, whatever gets you going.
Oh, that's hardcore music right there, live from the Fastport Studios. This is Nemo Nation. I almost said Road Gang Radio.
Yeah, it gets closer and closer to Road Gang Radio, of course. Hey guys, welcome back. Our friends from Pittsburgh Power couldn't make it today. We will welcome them back as soon as possible here. We're going to have open phones, open conversation at 615-292-6366 and see what you guys are doing out there. A lot of our friends are still listening, still participating on the tube of you. Ed Beachbum, our friend the Beachbum, says, I might be oversimplifying this, but personal conveyance seems very easy to me. You cannot use personal conveyance to an advanced load or move an empty truck closer to the next load. JB3237 says, good morning, Radio Nemo, and I am listening on the radio of iHeart. Well done, by the way. You actually put an I and then a big old heart out there. Brad Bentley, as I said, from Copenhagen.
You mean like an I?
Like an I, and
Yeah.
then had a heart, and
Yeah.
then had an I. Well, no, he actually had a capital I.
Oh, okay.
That would be cool too. Somebody putting that, by the way. We'd love to hear from you at 615-292-6366. It's interesting too because the ambush, as I call it, I wouldn't have called that with Adrian on the phone, but the ambush of April 22nd is very different from the road check. The road check, I just want to make this really clear. If you really look at what it is, CVSA's road check across all three countries, what's going on there is an attempt to get law enforcement agencies and the people who do the roadside inspections up to speed themselves. They're being, in many ways, trained. They're asking everybody out there on the road to get ready, be prepared. If you're out there, get your ducks in a row. There's no surprises here. You know what's coming. All that groovy stuff is headed your way. What this is, April 22nd, what that was, oh no, every once in a while, we'll just do these to you. Not to test out our ability to look at this stuff, but to see actually what's out there and what the problems are and where we need to focus next. And that's a big difference there. Because a lot of our friends out there say they should do that, when they have the roadside inspection, they say they shouldn't do that. They should just not tell people. They have that as well. That's a reality of it as well. And so it's important to remember that when they do the road checks, when they do those inspections, what's happening there is that they're giving a chance for the people who are out there doing the job to get a chance to do their job. They don't get a lot of chances for training because if they did that, they would slow down commerce in America. If they were using, these kind of opportunities all the time. What this does is it gives them an opportunity to say, hey, make your plans, it's coming, we can make this as fast, as efficient as possible, but you got to understand we got to stop a lot of people here. And that's part of the deal. And that's part of the deal. So give us a call at 615-292-6366 and jump into the conversation. A lot of great guests this morning, huh?
Yes, and there was almost an underlying theme of the program, but I don't know what it is, but it felt like there was. Does that make sense to you?
Well, no. In some ways, okay, so what we're doing here, by the way, in case you guys are just joining us on Nemo Nation, here, all part of RadioNemo.com. What is happening here is that we are attempting to introduce new voices into the equation. We want other people participating in this game. We want people who are, voices you have never heard before, but are significant voices. This isn't just like pulling a man off the street and saying, hey, you do trucking, tell us about it. Or, hey, you do brokerage, tell us about it. Or, hey, you have a couple of guys that got together.
These are contributors.
These are contributors in the field, because what we believe over here, what we really believe is that there's a lot of voices in trucking. We've often said trucking is not one industry. It's 13, 14, 15, 16 industries, correct?
Yeah, at
so,
least.
So what are we talking about when we talk to somebody like Ramon? What are we talking about when we talk to Ramel? Who are we talking to when we talk to Chris? We are talking about creating that great mosaic. And many of them are engaged in the same project we are, but what they're doing is they have longer form. A lot of these guys we had on today were long-form podcasters. People who are having 35, 45, 50-minute conversations, right? That's not our job. Our job is to give you as wide a view of the field as we possibly can. We want you checking out to go check out somebody else and coming back to us. We want you checking out for the rest of the live programming sometimes, to go hear the thing that you want to hear in the moment, in the immediate, and then to come back to YouTube or any other place where we're posting our content and to jump into that conversation. That's part of the design here, and that's why today was so much fun.
Costco and Sam's Club. I know a couple of people who actually go to Costco for lunch. And they go through the store and just eat the samples that they're handing out.
I hope they're buying stuff too. Well, they paid for
They
their
ain't
card.
buying nothing.
Well,
They're
they
just-
bought their card though.
They bought the card. They got the card. But it's their have lunch for free card. And I kind of feel like, in a sense, we're doing the same way. We have a little sample of a shrimp dip over here and some queso here and maybe some chicken wings here and a little ravioli here and a piece of pineapple upside down cake here. And you get all that stuff with those samples. And we give those samples and you say, well, I like that pineapple upside down cake. I think I'm going to go to their website and learn more about it. And that's what we're doing here with folks with their podcasts.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
We are the Costco of trucking.
Yeah.
We are what is it? Sample Saturday.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I got to tell you, my dad. Well, you're friends with my father. I mean, you guys have gotten close over the last couple of years. You really have,
Yeah,
actually. It's
yeah.
been kind of great to see you guys become friends. And you know that he was significantly overweight. He still has a long way to go, but you also know that he's made real progress. I mean, you remember,
Noticeable.
Yeah, you remember when you and Cheryl actually had to help him places, to get into places,
Mm-hmm.
get in and out of cars. He's made real progress, real change. He loves, because he and I did the same thing when we were kids. Well, not kids, but teenagers. We
Mm-hmm.
both worked in grocery stores. So like me, he has a deep romantic connection to a grocery store. It's what paid for him while he went through college. It's what gave him his spending money. He actually, until he got the scholarship from Loyola's law school, it took care of everything. I mean, it's where he got his extra spending money from. One of the things that he loves to do is go to Dorinax, which, by the way, as you know, is Whole Food for Yats. And but you have to really be from New Orleans to get that joke, but Dave got it. But they have samples on Saturday. And the idea that he could go back there on a Saturday now and actually be able to try little things like the cheese boards and the cheesecakes and all those little kind of groovy things, and people like that. So that's really what we're trying to do here. Lots of people are calling in, by the way. We got our first phone call.
Oh, right now, you mean?
Yeah, right now. Oh yeah, dude. People listen.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know,
Dave,
you probably wait. I'm sitting in the same
Do it.
room with Jimmy, with Andre, and we are with Madison, and Tara's not here in the room. And you're wondering, why don't I know anything about what's going on around me? Because everybody's computer screens are facing the other way.
Yep. Welcome to the new age, Dave. Well,
Yeah,
listen, speaking of, not speaking of new age, good old friend wants to say hey to you this morning.
Good
old
morning.
Don Krause.
Hey, Don Kraus. Hey, Don, good morning.
Good morning from that man.
Good morning to all you guys. Yeah, I've tried a couple times to get into you since you went to the new floor mat, but hadn't been able to do it. But sitting here waiting to make my run today, and heard you on there, so I thought I'd give you a shout.
Fantastic. So where are you? Are you in Indy? Are you loading up the wheels?
Well, I'm still at home right now.
Oh, okay.
I leave home about 1:30 in the afternoon, and then go down to Paris, Kentucky, and pick up a load of wheels, bring them back up to Princeton, and then get back home about midnight.
Got it. Yeah.
A pretty good semi-retirement run.
Not bad at all. Okay, so let me ask you a question, Don. We've been talking all morning about the sights and smells of childhood, and we were talking earlier with this young guy, Ramel Watley, and he got us completely in the weeds of the combination of the way both kids and grass and Little League all kind of smells, the dust, the grass, and of course that 11-year-old B.O. that you'll never forget till the day you die. What smells did you grow up with that always take you home back to the place you belong?
remember, I grew up on a dairy farm.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, so nothing's really changed. You still have to deal with people who are shoveling it, huh? I'm sorry, I had to do that.
I would say, just like the song says, the fresh mowed hay.
I've told this story probably too many times, but this is 30, 40 years ago. We were in Oakley, Kansas for an all-night broadcast. This is back in the Road Gang days. And the Mittens truck stop on I-70, Oakley, Kansas, and they have a motel. In the back of the lot is a motel. And next door to their lot is a feed lot. And when you checked into the motel, they gave you a gift. They had a stack of fly swatters and a stack of calendars. Guess which was the tallest stack? I still have my fly swatter, by the way.
Well, I remember it well.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing, too. That's the follow-up question to that is, have you ever had something that didn't smell so good, but then once you associated good things with it, it started smelling better? Because it strikes me that cow pasture, as I will put it simply as that, even though we're in a platform where I could say more, cow pasture is one of those smells that you might be like when you first ever smell it, you go, ugh. But as you spend more time around it and get used to it and the things that it reminds you of, you actually get a little bit of nostalgia when you get the whiff of cow dung.
When I was a kid in Mississippi in grammar school, we spent the summer, if there wasn't work to do like cutting the grass and stuff like that at home, you did your chores and then you left on your bike with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, didn't come back till supper. And one of the things we did one summer, we were literally swinging on vines in the woods over creeks and doing all of that Tarzan stuff. But there was a field where they had some cows. And we were taking big sticks and turning over cow patties to see if there were snakes under them, which we had heard snakes do. We did that until we turned over a cow patty and there was a rattlesnake under one of them, and that was the last time we ever did it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And by the way, the other side of the cow patty is a much more ripe smell, as you probably learned, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot more moist underneath than it is on the top after the sun's been baking.
Hang around long enough to smell that, by the way.
running for Don, when are you heading back home, and what's the day look like for you today?
Well, like I say, I'm still sitting here at Cindy's old home, fill up, keep on trucking Cafe Red Roof Inn Animal Sanctuary. Leave out this afternoon. And then,
at 1:30.
And tonight, when I get back to Toyota and drop my loaded trailer, I'll pick up empty flats going up to Columbia, Michigan for tomorrow, and deliver those on Wednesday, and then have three nights of going back to Paris yet this week, and we're trying to get all ready for the 4th of July parades. Cindy's cooking all my food for this week, and she's standing right here. I'll tell them hi.
Hey, Cindy. Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Cindy.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Cindy.
Good to hear both your voices, by the way. Please spread the word. Can you all do me a favor? I know you have a little bit of a presence on the Book of Face, Don. Please share the website. Please share the information. Let people know that something really big is brewing over here in the Crescent City. The Road Gang has returned, and Nemo Nation has planted a flag. We got to let you go. We got plenty of phone calls coming in, but thank you both. We love you both, and we'll see you soon, okay?
All right. See you soon.
All righty. Phone Master Dre, what do you say we turn to who's coming in with us today?
Oh, man. God, bars. Very, very nicely done, sir. Bruce Almighty in old Oklahoma wants to shoot the Shinola with you, good sir.
Shooting the Shinola with Bruce Almighty as the phones are ringing off the hook here in every single direction on Nemo Nation. Hey, Bruce Almighty, tell Dave Nemo good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, all.
Bruce Almighty, good morning.
What's happening, brother? What are you thinking? What's on your mind?
Oh.
What are you wearing?
Well, I'm headed to the March of Wall.
Oh man, the ward. What did you just call it? The ward of Mall. That's kind of fantastic.
The Mart of Wall.
Oh, the Mart of Wall. I was
Wally
like,
Wally World.
I get that from you. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I'm like going. That's a really great twist to it. I'm like, if there's a mall where there are warts, I don't want to go anywhere near that thing, man. That sounds kind of terrifying.
That's Walmart too.
Hey, well, at a certain time.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Hey, I called to be a filler because you said your other guys weren't in. I said, well, you better call and fill this hour up.
Oh well, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to have you.
It's been a great show this morning. Great show. And I did, binge watch a few of them on the weekend. That was nice to have all that content. It's just like being there live, pretty much.
Yeah, I got your message and was really pleased about it. By the way, a lot of people have started doing that too, and that's a really cool thing because I'll notice stuff doesn't have a lot of likes or listens, and then I'll come back the next day and realize that people have gone on YouTube, Dave, and listened to an episode more and more, and it becomes a matter of people sharing it. And by the way, Bruce, you can really help the cause over here because we are a genuine startup with a good licensing deal. Is the joke I make? We're a great startup with a licensing deal because the man who has such a trusted name has graciously given us his name to kind of make that happen as well, and that's a really cool thing. Was there anything you listened to over the weekend that you really enjoyed? Anything really hit home for you?
Oh man, I did watch. I think I heard part of what is it, OIDA. That was interesting.
Oh, the trucking podcast is terrific, by the way, and it's actually
that came in.
Yeah.
Came in real good.
Yeah, I mean that's Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday immediately after the show. It was pretty darn terrific, by the way, and we were absolutely thrilled about it. And it's only going to get better from this point on. Ashley and Scott do a really terrific job with that. Okay, so where are you headed when you get to after you get to the Mart of Wall? Is that the end of the day, or are you revving up to go someplace else after that?
No, I'll probably pick up another load and go to the same another store.
Oh man! So it's basically here today and there tomorrow, and it's really good to hear you, Bruce. Thank you for listening to all the content. We're going to ask you the magic question we ask everybody. Come on, ooh, that smell! The smell is all around you. What's the smell that brings you back to the hood?
Well, when I heard you earlier this morning, I didn't catch the early part of what do I remember? But one that's kind of like now is like if you smell Cinnabon at an airport or a truck stop, it kind of got you.
Oh man, I'll tell you that right now, man. There are certain smells. Airports have certain smells that make me feel really good. I have to tell you that once I get through security, hate it. Once I get through there, though, there's a great kind of smell that hits you at certain airports, Dave. And at the Nashville airport, they have a Voodoo Donuts to your right. Woo. And man, if you get there at a certain time, the smell of Voodoo Donuts hits you. And it's the truth. And the Cinnabon smell at an airport is one of mine as well, too. I never go there, though, Bruce, because if I do, I'm done. So I don't.
You know what happens when you eat too many Cinnabons?
Here it comes. You get a Cinnabut?
You get a bun. But I will take the early thing. Like I used to ride my bike to my grandma's, and it was miles and miles and miles. And I would pass by Mead's Fine Bakery, and you would always smell that fresh bread. And when I got to her house, I had to make some buttery toast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, I got to tell you, man, there are a few things as powerful as the olfactory senses. Bruce, big thanks to you. Be safe out there. It's good to hear from you. And I don't know if you heard it earlier. Thank you, Bruce. Dave, you actually you mentioned this earlier on the show. You had a bread experience. You actually went by a bakery as well, too, right?
Yes, back in the 70s, into the 80s, I would leave the French Quarter at 5 in the morning, 5:30, when I got off the air, and would drive home, and would pass by Community Coffee and Sunbeam Bakery, and they were roasting coffee. And then you'd smell the baking bread. It would kill you. I mean, just unbelievable. The air was thick with the smell of coffee and bread.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get better than that?
Well, I tell you, I used to work the graveyard shift at Kinko's, and there was I don't know if you remember this, the old Whitney Bank on the corner of Carrollton Avenue and Maple Street.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know
Okay,
exactly
you know what I'm talking
where
about.
that-
Yeah. So yeah, on the corner there, they turned it into a Kinko's for a while. It's now a really cool coffee shop.
Mhm.
But I worked there overnight. I worked the graveyard shift overnight. Really big fan of working graveyard shifts. I don't know how that got into me. I wish I'd never developed that habit, but I did. I'd walk home and there was a German bakery. I lived about 4 blocks away, and there was a genuine, both the guys were from Germany, and every morning you would walk by and they opened the door, and man, you'd smell those German pastries, and that smell of cafe au lait would just come wafting out. There are a few things. It's almost just like night blooming jasmine, a staple in regards to what you smell in New Orleans. You drive all over the city, and that smell will hit you everywhere. We used to weatherize homes in Gentilly,
Mhm.
and that's where the Leidenheimer Bakery was. It's also where Bunny Bread was, remember?
Yeah.
The Bunny Bread Factory was out there, too. Our good friend Chowder, by the way, sent us a message. He actually showed us all the stuff he's got ready. He's got his snack club trail mix, his bag, and a big bottle of water. Doing good, Chowder. Keep up the good work. Who do we got on the phone?
Well, I got to add something real quick, Dave. I think we need to go into fragrances. We need to make Ode to Nemo. Do some cologne, maybe some candles, a little bread, and coffee cologne.
Coffee, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, there are colognes that, by the way, are roses and coffee. There's roses in coffee. There's roses in whiskey. I know there's one that's roses and fresh linen. Because have you ever been to like a really upscale New Orleans restaurant with the flowers on the table and the starched linen tablecloths?
Mhm.
That's a terrific smell.
I just need to see Dave in a commercial in black and white, just the wind blowing him like Fabio. Ode to Nemo.
Ode to Nemo.
All right. Well, speaking of odes, hey man, Beach Bum, how you doing it over there in New Mexico? Brother?
Welcome back, man.
Personal conveyance.
Man, I'm doing wonderful. First time I've been able to chime in on the new format, and I just want to tell y'all congratulations and love what y'all got going.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, I want to say something about that because this is a new experience for me in terms of radio, and we've gone from long form to, I guess, short form in a sense where we have all of these guests on all at once, all at the same time. And what it is, it's developing a continual conversation with these folks so you get to know them. And then later on, we'll talk, like Ramon Dillon, with the North American Punjabi Trucking Association. There's a lot more to talk to him
You could hear the
him
patriotism in his
about.
voice, couldn't you?
Yeah, but there's a lot more to talk to him about the fact that he's Punjabi or Sikh, you know. We're not into that. We're into the trucking part, but you got to get to know the guys before you can get their perspective. And those continuing conversations, the short form is the day-to-day, the long form is month to month, year to year.
Let me ask you a question too in regards to the format. What do you enjoy most about it? Because we don't get a chance to do this often. We move through stuff so rapidly, both on the weekday show, Nemo Nation, and then Road Gang Radio has so many guests, and we're throwing so much stuff at you guys. I wanted to get a chance to kind of talk to somebody on the air. Are you enjoying the new format? What do you like about it?
Oh, I'm absolutely loving it. One of the things is with the company that I work for, they provide the Sirius and the truck. So I didn't have the app. So as far as being able to, I'd have to personally pay extra to go back and listen to the replays. Whereas here, with you reposting all of the content up on YouTube, I'm able to go back and relive that content because, of course, being out here, my schedule's all over the place, so I'm not always able to, tune in live.
Yeah, and by the way, that's the thing, too. We don't care how you listen. We just care that you do listen, and that's so important to us. And the other thing is, you probably noticed this, we were actually encouraging people during Chris Jolly's thing, hey, take a walk, because we know that when Dre hands this stuff off to Tara and then soon to Madison and Dre, they'll be cutting that stuff up and breaking it up into pieces. So if there's something you missed when you jumped over someplace else, you can always come back and revisit us as well. And that's part of what we're kind of angling for here and aiming for, trying to kind of make that happen. And that's a really kind of groovy thing for us as well. So we're kind of figuring this out as we go along as well. The joke I made to kind of explain myself, I said, we are a startup with a great licensing deal. And what I mean by that is we are really just kind of getting this thing going. We just happen to have the name and the presence of a trusted brand in Dave Nemo. And that makes all the difference in the world, we think. What are you doing with your day today, Beach Bum? Been a while since we talked.
Well, considering Bruce is going to the Mart of Wall, I'm going to the Club of Sam. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's all right. As a matter of fact, he's all right. Are you a sampler when you go there for fun, as opposed to when you go there for reals, for the deliveries and the drop-offs? Are you a Club of Sam or a Co of Cost sampler?
I do, absolutely. That's one of the things that I actually miss from my childhood is I remember every grocery store you go on the weekends and, Mom and Dad didn't have to cook breakfast. We'd go to the grocery store with Mom and Dad and get breakfast.
There's actually an episode of The Simpsons where they have this exciting morning where they get up and they realize they're going sampling. There's a Saturday morning episode of The Simpsons, like, we're going sampling, and everybody gets excited and puts on their best clothes to walk through a fancy store and taste all the kind of amazing things. Beach Bum, we got to take a break here, brother, but tell Dave goodbye. He's got to shuffle off this radio coil for the last half hour, but he just stuck around with me to kind of give me some company in the midst of this, phone call session. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Y'all have a great day, and the last thing I'll leave on sense is a 2-cycle engine running.
Get out. We love talking to him.
Let me leave you with something, though. This is the latest bill in Congress. This is the U.S. Congress about trucking. And it's about an axle variation of 10% if you are hauling dry bulk goods, okay? The name of the bill is the Variance Act. Variance. Vehicle axle redistribution increases allow new capacities for efficiency Act.
Somebody out there is doing really hard work, man.
Man, I'm telling you, I gotta know what this guy's making.
We got to get. Don't you wish it was one guy? Because we get that guy on the show, man.
I'd love that guy on the show.
It's staffers, dude. It's a lot of clever kids who went to like Ivy League schools or the top-notch places like Michigan or Virginia or something, maybe Notre Dame. Somebody sitting up there just coming up like, it's how they doodle their time away. It's kind of like people who do alliteration at the top of shows. What a waste of time. 615-292-6366. Head over to RadioNemo.com. Head over to the Tube of You. Love having you guys. Hope you're all enjoying the conversation. Hope you're all enjoying the good times. We'll keep those phone lines ringing. We'll keep you into all of this stuff here at RadioNemo.com. It is Nemo Nation. We'll be right back.
Check out the new over-the-top lineup at participating Country Pride and Iron Skillet restaurants. 3 gigantic sandwiches loaded with flavor. Try the Chicken Parm Stack, the Big Country Combo, or the Ultimate Smash Melt. The Ultimate Smash Melt. 2 delicious smash burger patties, surrounded by 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. 2 sandwiches in 1. Visit your favorite Country Pride or Iron Skillet restaurant and come hungry.
Available for dine-in only at participating Country Pride and Orange Skillet restaurants inside TA or Petro Travel Centers.
Live hard, drive hard. Shady Rays has got you. If you want a pair of sunglasses that keeps up with your adventure on the road, Shady Rays has got you. If you want to keep your eyes on the journey ahead with a price point right for your lifestyle, Shady Rays has got you. Premium polarized sunglasses with a lost and broken protection program and 30-day risk-free returns and exchanges. Drop in that code RadioNemo at ShadyRays.com and get a 35% discount and make sure you can see where the action is. They got you at ShadyRays.com.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. To learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
Freight is moving at Creek Carrier and Schaefer Trucking. We are growing and our customers keep growing with us. If you want to be part of a company that appreciates what you do and rewards you for it, you should check out Creek Carrier Corporation. We're looking for safe drivers that have at least 1 year's experience and take their job seriously. Then we reward you with great pay and some real serious benefits. Freight's moving, so check out Creed and Schaefer today. Go to creekcarrier.com and find the right job for you.
Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
Oh, we are back with more Nemo Nation live from RadioNemo.com, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Facebook, and much, much more. Jimmy, take it away, my friend.
Hey, of course, tomorrow our good friend Pastor John will open us up with his rousing cup of Java to get you kind of in the right place spiritually and mentally to kind of enjoy the rest of your day. That'll be followed by our good friend Kevin Lindsay. Maybe I'll get Dave to drop in and say good morning as we do Maintenance Matters with Kevin Lindsay, Manager of Technical Service for Travel Centers of America. He'll be joining us tomorrow, as he always does, on Road Gang Radio. After that, our old friend Nicole Dreisky is going to be joining us. Talk about the new books or movies, Make You Smarter and Mindful Viewing. We'll be talking about a lot of that groovy stuff. Nicole, who always is very, very in tune with how media shapes not only our lives but the lives of our children, will be joining us on Highway to Health. It's good to have an old friend of ours back. Julia Whalen is going to be joining us. She is an audiobook narrator. We're going to actually dig into, she's done a whole bunch of stuff out there. You've probably heard her voice a million times. Kristen Hanna's The Women. Taylor Jenkins Reid's The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Every best-selling book from romance superstar Emily Henry, including the month pick for the Reese Book Club, The Great Big Beautiful Life. You've heard of all these books and maybe even read them. If you've listened to them, you know the voice of Julia Whalen, award-winning audiobook performer, author, and actress. The acclaimed former child star of TV shows like Once and Again is now once again a top celebrity narrator, bringing hundreds of best-selling books to life with vivid performances and amassing a loyal fan base for her work. With April through June being new audiobook releases of books by Emily Henry Taylor, Jenkins Reid, and V.E. Schwab, Julia is the voice of Summer Reads. And in case you guys didn't know this, June is Audio Book Month. Our good friend Doodah Man actually wrote on YouTube that I've got him addicted to audiobooks. Now, I realize that some of the stuff that Julia reads may not be your wheelhouse, might not be your métier, but it might be the métier of somebody you love, and you're going to want to give her a listen because her voice is knock your lights out terrific. She'll be joining us, by the way, at 9 in the center, 10 in the east on Road Gang Radio. This is really cool, by the way, and I can't wait to kind of dig into this. It's called Seek Texas. It's a scavenger hunt. After Casey Wright and his mother were big winners on the Wheel of Fortune in November of 2023, they wanted to do something fun with the money. Seek Texas is a new immersive scavenger hunt spanning the Lone Star State, inviting locals and travelers nationwide to explore hidden gems, solve creative clues, and win real prizes. By the way, with her arriving on the scene, I might as well just kind of talk about that topic now to kind of set up tomorrow. Have you ever been on a scavenger hunt? And I actually am happy to include geocaching in that conversation as well. In case you guys didn't know, Claire Marie is a big geocacher. If you don't know what that is, you can give us a call at 615-292-6366 and I'll fill you in. But if you've been on a scavenger hunt or you've done any geocaching or any sort of treasure hunt kind of situation, a la It's a Mad, Mad World, we'd love to hear from you. We'll keep that conversation going tomorrow. We got a Chowder on the phone, do we not?
Oh, 100% we do. And old South Dakota, he wants to talk some smells. You know he's got them.
Oh, that smell. Chowder is in the house. What's going on, brother?
Hey, brother. Nice day today. I love the show topics.
so many to talk about, but the smells is the one I keyed in on. You know, growing up in Maine in the coastal area, there was nothing better to wake up in the morning, 5:30 or so, grab your fishing pole after you smell that brand new dew come down and walk over to what we call the hog house where our chickens and hogs and some cattle were, and you smell that aroma of the grain, that fresh spring rain mist. Get your feet a little wet on your sneakers as you're walking across there. Go up the brook and smell the fresh pines, or you're going down to the waterfront to the lobster boat to go out on the ocean to haul them first traps or set them first traps there, and you hear that wave action and that seaweed smell and fresh aroma of the ocean just coming right off that early morning heavy air. You know, nothing better than that. And that cow smell you're referring to, out here in the Midwest, we call that the smell of money.
I'll tell you this right now, man, and you know, Mark brought it up earlier. The smell of the sea, if you've grown up by the sea, look, the smell of the sea, period, is one of the most intoxicating things around. And I'll say this, that when I lived out in the Pacific Northwest, going over to the Washington State shore, and I'm a bigger fan, like I think you are as well. I'm not a big fan of the smell of like the Gulf of Mexico or what I call warm coastal waters. But if you put me under cold coastal waters, I am so down with that. That is like my idea of perfection. Is that your feeling of it?
That's right. Hard granite rock, water splashing with seaweed, and otters and seals just splashing and frolicking around. That is the smell. I don't want concrete, jungle, touristy, sand, suntan lotion, ocean smell. I want good, hot, cold air, breeze of salty air, sea dog, ocean smell.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm gonna put a little mix in. Let me see if I can really touch something deep inside of you. And by the way, it's not that kind of show. But let me ask you this question: when you mix in a bonfire on that kind of beach, dude, is that not something else? Is not the smell of a big giant bonfire? Go ahead.
That's right. Especially if you got that lined with a half-cut open 55-gallon drum, loaded up with seaweed, scallops, clams, mussels, lobsters, and crabs. Throw in some corn and potatoes cooking while you're doing it.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, there is something to be said. There's something to be. Go on, please, go on.
By the way, that backpack picture, that's my small day pack. We're heading over to the Plume Trail. Me and Chowder, we're going on 7.1-mile hike around it. No intention to finish that hike because there's a brook up there that Chowder's been itching to slay some brook trout out of. But that's the course of the action today. Since I can't go to the Club of Sam's or the Mall of the Wall, my load won't be ready, and I got to go to Watertown tomorrow to get it. So I might as well do what Chowder does best, go out in nature.
There you go.
By the way, I just wanted to send to you I'm going to send you a picture, Chowder, because you've been sending me so many great ones. I got a chance this weekend. A good friend of mine gave me a call and said, "Hey, do you want to go for a hike?" And I was like, "Okay, so what do you have to tell me, and what mob boss have I angered?" He said, "No, we're going to go over to Bayou Sauvage." And we drove down Chef Mentor Highway to the wildlife preserve at Bayou Sauvage. And I got to tell you, man, have you been over there before? You know what I'm talking about?
I've never been there.
Okay, so I'm going to send you a picture of myself and then just 2 other pictures of what this place looks like. It is unbelievable. It's probably the last couple of weeks we can do it because pretty soon the mosquitoes and the heat are going to get so oppressive down here. It's not possible to make that happen. But let me know what you think.
I will, and I'm glad to see in that photo your dad is doing well, moving around. You guys were all healthy and spry, having a good time.
By the way, thank you very much. I actually got a thing here from Beach Bum. I don't know if anybody else calling was experienced this, but your volume levels were very low. The callers I could hear fine. Another thing about the format being able to give input, by the way. Are you guys having trouble hearing me, Chowder, right now when you and I talk? Do we have trouble hearing each other?
I can hear you fine now, but it seems like I noticed that when you have like Tara the Terrific Turtle or Pterodactyl, as she's going by, I guess, we're going to put her in witness protection plan at this rate. Or when there's multiple, like you, Lindsay, and somebody on, it seems like sometimes you fade out to where we can't really hear the question or whatever. You're kind of like faded in the background. When it's one-on-one calls, it's pretty good.
Is it me or is it everybody over here?
Dre is that way, but I think because he kind of whispers of where he's positioned in that. But it seems like mostly it's you that I hear, or
It's
or
the
whoever might be
microphone.
in the back.
Yeah.
It's the microphone. That's
Still
solid.
great.
But appreciate that input from everybody with that.
Yeah, love that, by the way. Love that kind of input.
Yeah,
It's,
you guys have a good one. Time
Hey,
for Chowder to pack the truck and hit the woods.
Chowder, I gotta throw one thing in there when he talked about throwing down on the. Was it you, Jimmy, or was it Chowder that brought up doing a little fire on the beach? It was you, right?
me brought up fire on the beach. yeah.
Man, you know what my favorite thing
He
to
threw
do
the
is-
food in.
Ah, there it is. He talks about what he likes to put on there. You know what I like doing on a good old fire on the beach there, Chowder?
Having a Coors banquet, because that's the only real deal.
That helps the flavor of the paella, if I can say so myself, my friend. That helps with the flow of it, because it is one stressful thing to do on there, and getting that heat just to balance out on that big paella dish. But man, nothing's better than just throwing a few things on there with some rice, some
And I'm
quinoa.
Right. And I'm going to put this out in public. I want to thank you two for helping Chowder lose 32 pounds and get his
My man.
diabetes and blood sugar self under control. It's your encouragement of us exercising and the health professionals that you guys bring on the show that we get to listen to and dabble in to keep our health good.
Thank you, sir. It's great to hear from you. Be safe, be well, and do good work.
And congrats on the weight loss, brother. Keep it up.
Well done, by the way.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Have a good show.
We'll talk to you probably tomorrow or the day after that. By the way, all of you guys calling in at 615-292-6366 can join this free-form conversation. Nemo Nation is done, but all of that great content. By the way, we had 10 guests in the period of 2 hours. 10 guests, which means that we have had, and with the exception of Elizabeth Barner and Jamie Jones today, everybody was brand spanking new.
Dude.
First time on the show. We're going to keep on building that up and keep on sending you guys places. We'll lock it in at some point. There'll be a lock-in point at some point where we'll have a rotation of about 40 or 50 people, but that's a lot of different voices. You know, and as Dave said today, one of the things that was so important was we wanted some origin stories in there as well. We wanted a lot of you folks out there to kind of get to know these folks before they start kind of filling you up with their expertise and their insight and where they're kind of taking you down the road to. That's a really crucial part of this equation as well. I wanted to keep talking about Casey Wright and his mother. I told you they were the big winners on the Wheel of Fortune in 2023. I'd like to buy a vowel. They wanted to do something fun with that money. And by the way, I really love that. The idea that it's like, look, you win on Jeopardy for 10 straight weeks and you take home $200,000. And I'm sorry, guys, $200,000 straight up, even after taxes, can be life-changing money. You can really do a whole lot of stuff with that kind of money. But you go on Wheel of Fortune, you win a couple of bucks. You want to do something fun with the money. So they wanted to do something fun, and Seek Texas was their answer, by the way. You can find them at the Talk of Tick and in the Tube of You at Seek Texas and all the social medias, by the way. It's an immersive scavenger hunt spanning the Lone Star State. What they do is they invite locals and travelers nationwide to explore hidden gems, solve creative clues, and win real prizes. It's gaining attention, by the way, because of the documentary Forrest Fenn, which reignited the public fascination with treasure hunting. Seek Texas channels that same spirit, but in a much safer, family-friendly, and collaborative way. No digging or danger, just discovery. And you can find their platform at seektexas.com. The participants receive creative clues that guide them through local landmarks, off-the-beaten-path destinations, quick roadside attractions, historical sites. You're going to solve puzzles. You're going to engage with Texas culture. You're going to earn entries to win grand prizes worth thousands of dollars. Unlike the Forrest Fenn hunt, and by the way, if you ever get a chance, look up Forrest Fenn. Have you ever seen this, Dre?
I have
If you
not.
get
I
a
don't think
chance,
so.
Madison, what about you? Forrest Fenn, ring a bell? Guys, Fenn. You're going to want to check that out too. But unlike that hunt, Seek Texas is designed to be accessible to all. As you can guess, I guess Seek Texas is the Tough Mudder, and Forrest Fenn is the Spartan race.
Nice.
Is the kind of way
Okay.
to think about it like that. Actually, Forrest Fenn is much more dangerous than a Spartan race. It encourages collaboration among participants, and it doesn't require the physical act of digging, which, by the way, anybody watches a movie or TV and sees people digging holes easily, once you get past the first part of the surface, digging gets tough. Go on.
I'm about to say the movie Holes elaborated it very well. That is a very accurate description of how it is to dig a hole.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. People go, oh, this isn't too bad, and then they get to the second layer.
Splinters.
And then, man, it gets really nasty and really tough. It's kind of like, when you watch people chopping wood, like Captain America chopping wood in a movie.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself, man.
No.
I got a good friend of mine chop some wood. He can do it, but, dude, it's years of practice to get there.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. Don't go look at – what's that one guy on TikTok that sits there half the time and just does it shirtless? And he's cutting like full logs. This dude has a whole TikTok.
That's his job.
Yeah, that's his job.
That's his job, man. It's like that's
a champ.
My uncle used to always say that about people who are ripped. If you have a six-pack, that's your job.
Yeah.
Straight up. If you have a six-pack, if you can produce a six-pack, and by the way, nobody can maintain a six-pack. I'm going to say this right now. I don't care who you know or what you think. You can't. You're not supposed to. Hugh Jackman in those Wolverine movies, they literally dehydrate him for 36 hours before they do those shots, and they have IVs and all kinds of things waiting for him the moment. He won't do it. He and Dave Bautista won't do it anymore.
Oh, no.
They won't do it anymore. You can't look like that. You can't look like that on a regular basis. No, you just period can't do it. You'll give yourself a heart attack. In order to have that look, that's dehydration.
Yeah.
That's literally stripping all the water out of your body and letting all those muscles just ripple. It's cool. It's awesome. It also, I don't know how we got to this point, by the way. I don't mean like this topic, but we've gotten to a point where after literally poisoning the way women look at themselves for the better part of 50, 100 years in this country, we've now decided, rather than to correct the problem, to allow lots of men in their 30s and 40s to now share in that pain, wondering why they can never look that good. The guy who chops wood on TikTok, that's his job.
Yeah.
He's making money.
100%.
People are tuning in. There's lots of ladies and lots of fellas who are going over there and going, chop it up.
And he has fitness plans and he has supplements.
That's exactly it, by the way. The scavenger hunt that we're talking about tomorrow is going to run through the summer of 2025, and it's going to have new locations and clues dropping each month. Families, friend groups, road trippers, and solo explorers are all invited to take part. They're going to be joining us tomorrow. I can't wait for you guys to meet them. Casey Wright, the creator of Seek Texas, is going to be joining us here on Road Gang Radio.
That is such a killer thing to do with the money that you win from a lottery. Like, I don't even know what I would do. What would be my first thing? I was going to ask you, what would be your top thing that you would do, like, or three if you can narrow it down? Because I know you always got some money-making ideas, or putting it back in the community.
Well, I mean, part of the idea I would have for, like, you give me a chunk of change, $25,000 on the house's money kind of thing. Meaning somebody just gives me $25,000. There's a couple of social media things, some happenings I would want to do.
Yeah.
I'd want to create so I had this really weird idea one time. This is really strange, to get the Soul Rebels and a high school band and a group of dancers and literally take Phil Collins' song In the Air Tonight and stage it on a street.
Nice.
And then just film it from every single direction and then just generate content and give it some kind of actually, what I wanted to really do it with was not In the Air Tonight. Sorry, I got that wrong. That's Soul Rebels already did that. I wanted them to do the Police's Synchronicity.
Ooh.
I wanted to do that and see what that's just bizarreness, by the way. Give us a call. Jump into the conversation. And then, of course, we're going to close out the entire show as Lindsay does her country and Western music news, where we celebrate both kinds and all kinds.
I just want to throw in one thing on the topic of what to do with the lottery money, because it kind of came to mind. Because when I was sitting there thinking about it for a second, I was like, I don't know. But then whenever I heard yours, man, my little town doesn't have really much to do for the high school kids. And now they have different programs. You have sports, but some of them, they just don't know what they want to do, and they just want to have an environment to go and not get in trouble. Because I'm be honest with you, a fair share of 40s were drinking in the parking lot of Walmart because we didn't have much to do. So having an environment or something that would just not even have video games or just different things, even if it's certain programs like automotive or anything with just working with your hands. I want to do that for them.
Yeah, it's really interesting, too, because we're constantly, look, there's a greater gap that is growing more and more between the kids who have and the kids who don't. Mm-hmm. Because and look, there's another kind of aspect to this too. All right, I'm getting totally in the weeds here. We got two big problems. We have a lot of wealthy kids who are basically having the most marvelous childhoods curated up until the time they're 25 years old. I mean, literally, we have extended childhood for a lot of American children who are of means up until they're. I mean, you literally have people say, well, they're just a kid. It's like 22-year-old commits a crime, and people are like, they're just a kid. When I was growing up, man, full-blown adult.
That's a man.
Go directly to jail.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, it's applied it isn't applied fairly
Yeah.
because there are people that are 22 years old and we're like, they're 22, put them in jail. Other people, it's just a kid.
Yeah.
It's just a kid. But we've got a lot of kids who don't go outside, don't participate, don't get their driver's license, stay at home. They have all the things they ever need. Their life is completely curated at home. We got to get them out. And then there are kids who are getting out because they don't have any of those things, who have nothing to do with themselves. And so much of what is having fun now in this country requires you have money.
Yeah.
And we've got to figure out ways of giving. I'm getting totally in the weeds here.
No, that was nice.
But by the way, we could prevent people like Christian Ramos if we, in fact, got on top of this. You know who Christian Ramos is? Either one of you guys? He's a 28-year-old truck driver. And by the way, the Maryland State Police on Friday, June 20th, this is a crazy story, man. Just kind of bear with me here for a second. A truck driver, Christian Ramos, was found with several hundred rounds of ammunition in his cab after multiple reported shootings on Interstate 83 last week. The 4 reported shootings happened on the I-83 in Pennsylvania and Maryland on June 18th between 10 p.m. and midnight. According to Local 21 News, Ramos was identified as a suspect in a shooting that occurred just before midnight on June 18th involving a car headed south on I-83 with a 2-year-old in the car.
Come on.
No one was hurt in the shooting. Dash cam footage from the car was used to identify Ramos. Police tracked him down to a TA travel center in Elkton, Maryland, and placed his ass under arrest. During a search of the semi, they discovered a .45 caliber handgun, multiple shell casings, and several hundred rounds of ammunition. Now, police believe Ramos is connected to 4 shootings on June 18th, and officers are looking for more potential victims. Anybody who was on I-83 in Maryland or Pennsylvania on Wednesday evening with information or footage of the shootings is asked to call the Maryland State Police Highway Guns Crime Initiative at 410-538-1887. Have either one of you, and I can ask you this, Dre, ever been in a situation on the road, a road rage situation, where for one moment you looked at the person in the car and said, that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of gal that would gun me down, and tried to figure out, how do I get away from them? How do I get into a parking lot? Are there any, the one thing you never want to see when you're driving down the road is the policeman on the side of the road where you're like, oh my God, I've never been so glad to see this in my life.
Yeah, there's been a couple situations growing up to where I just had someone in the car that the other person wasn't a fan of, or it was a racial thing. And, dude, I've had to avoid 2 situations in my life, mostly in high school, but then also whenever I was graduated, where there was just anger. And someone tried to pull up, and they got in my face. And I also had something in my car as well, but I'm like, I'm not going to let it escalate to that. And it was just pretty much to a point to where the first time that happened, it was a conversation. Second time, I had to get an altercation. I literally had to get an altercation with someone, and thankfully my friend was there because he went to go get his shotgun. And that's just one of those things where you never know what you're going to encounter when it comes out to there with the road rage. And that's why now I tell my friends and my mom, and just please just try to take a breath. Just take a second.
Take a breath.
Yes.
Take a breath. And by the way, guys, this is the absolute truth. Even with the most ornery, the most irascible, and the most toxic people on the road, let me make this really clear. Sometimes if you're in the wrong, particularly, or even if it's a judgment call, looking up, holding up your hand and being like, my bad.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think you're wrong, my bad, watch what happens.
Yeah.
They always don't worry. I mean, you either the worst you usually get is don't worry about it, never mind, or you get you get told you're number one, or you get told to fun you, which is my favorite place to go to college, fun you. You get told that and you kind of move on. It's just not worth it. There is just nothing worth it. That's a phone call that everybody you love never wants to get about you. Exactly. Trust me on that, right?
Well, I'll tell you once, and I agree 100%. There has been one situation where it was highly hysterical. I was in Austin, and I don't know if you ever seen a picture or just seen my sister at all. She's a beautiful woman, but she's 6'2".
Oh, yeah.
And we were driving somewhere.
She scored 17 points from the paint alone in the third quarter, dude.
Dude, I saw her knock out a full-grown man that was on football team.
Full-grown man.
Full-grown man in high school. Well, he was 18, 19, but he was a big boy. But listen, I was in Austin with her. We were driving. Someone was driving the truck that helps the wide load go, and the thing was...
Is that a fat joke?
Something like that.
Okay.
Lindsay, don't call me. Listen, we were driving, and I was in the car with her, and it was far out of view. The thing was way up there. The truck was still trying to pretty much situate the whole thing with us bringing on this bridge on the overpass. And my sister was just basically trying to get over. He was pulling the truck and trying to just basically run her out of the way because we were like, dude, we need to get around. There's no reason you need to be doing what you're doing. He literally puts the truck in the reverse, tries to back up on my sister. He gets out of the car. My sister gets out, and he's like, sorry, ma'am. Sorry.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you want to do? Like saying certain words, and she put him up against the truck.
So I was in Dave and Cheryl's car in the Trader Joe's parking lot,
Okay.
and this guy backed up into me. This old guy. I mean, basically, driving an Imperial gunship from Star Wars. I mean,
Nice.
this thing was like could have won the war by itself. It was an aircraft carrier, and he just, slammed into me. And I got out the car, and this guy got out the car ready to go to war. And well, you stood next to me.
Yeah.
The moment I got out the car, he got out the car like a house. He was ready to go to war.
Right.
I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, there was a woman behind me in the parking lot going, I saw the whole thing. You were in the right. Meaning me. She was ready to egg me on into like war with this
Yeah.
guy. There were a few people, all those good liberals in the Trader Joe's parking lot looking for a little MMA fight going on. And I came up from around the car and I said, I was like, I looked at him and he suddenly had this terrified look on his face. He's about 5'4", and he's looking at me and I just said, go and sin no more. And
For real?
He went, what? I said, tell me you were wrong. I said, say you were wrong. I said, watch what happens here. And he goes, I was wrong. I said, it's okay. Don't sweat it. I'm not damaged. Neither are you.
Nice.
Now get the heck out of this parking lot right now because the lady behind me, she wants your blood.
Yeah.
She did. Somebody wanted to see some blood out there. Man, people are rooting for Rage on the Road as long as it
Yeah.
isn't directed at them. If it bleeds,
I'm
it
calling the
leads.
police.
There's a reason why that CDL life story I just shared with you, it's like going, that's like at the top of the list, man.
Mm-hmm.
Guy with a gun in his cab. Woo! Ammunition on the floor. Woo! Good times. It's always fun when it happens to somebody else. Mel Brooks has a great line. You know what tragedy is?
Tell me.
Me getting a paper cut. You know what comedy is?
Tell me.
You falling into an open manhole cover.
Oh,
That's
man,
an
it's
absolute
happened.
riot. 615-292-6366. Some really great comments from our friends over there on the Book of Face, keeping us in line and keeping it all kind of sane over here, letting us know what's going on with our technical stuff. Guys, don't be angry with us. God isn't finished with us yet.
Yeah, don't sweat it.
We're not patient yet.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. It's all going to work out. So tomorrow's show, like I said, we're going to open up tomorrow by talking about a little bit of scavenger hunting. Hope you guys will be a part of that equation as well. Don't forget, all of this content will be available in short order. I don't know how Tara's doing it. I'm not really sure. Doing a 30-minute segment where she gets kind of pulled through the space-time continuum and then still creating all that content for us. Somehow, if you guys get a chance, give her a big thanks on the Book of Face. She's out there as a public figure, so I can encourage you guys to do that. Don't forget, big thanks to all of our guests. I wish I could name them, but there were 10 of them. There were 10 of them. Adrian Gilday, by the way, was part of the long-form conversation that ended the show. Hope you guys will head on over to the CVSA and be part of the conversation over there. Remember, your input does make a difference. As soon as they post looking for your comments and suggestions, don't forget to jump into that conversation. It affects you directly, in particular with personal conveyance. Hope you guys get into that. Don't forget, tomorrow, Road Gang Radio will be followed by Trucking with Owida. We are out.
Oh, man, we have some time, but we are. But y'all have a beautiful rest of your day. And, Jimmy, thank you for a great show, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank Madison with a T. Thank Phone Master Dre. Thank Tara the Turtle. Thank the Nemo of Dave. All of you guys heading into the Wart of Malls. Make sure you get a little frog and, wipe it on top of that and get rid of those warts before they overtake you.
Oh, man, we're in the weeds.
We're in the warts.
Or you could be in the weeds and have a prescription for that. Doo-dooch.
You think people smoke warts?
I think that is a thing. Certain countries.
I think it probably is. Along with shrooms, yeah. I got some warts. I'm going to sniff some warts today.
Don't drive and do warts, guys.
Don't do warts.
Thank you for everything. Have a great day. Nemo Nation, baby!
Nemo Nation! Bum, 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 bum.